birch.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday the 30th of May 2015. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Are we recording now?
Apparently.
And Robert Kent.
It sounded more like Mario in my head, by the way.
Rather than just weird high-pitched Rob.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch the tree. What was it?
Paper birch.
Paper birch. Okay.
Yeah, that's better. We'll go with that. Pretend Dan did it. I was sort of thinking Paper Mario, you see?
Okay.
So that's paper because the bark or whatever is like papery, right?
Yeah.
But but silver birch has like papery bark, does it not?
Generally, birches just do.
Yeah.
Just do. So what's special about
Rob was
paper
very
birch?
confused by that during our banished video. Where he's like, why are those trees white? And I'm like, they're
Oh,
birch
yeah.
trees.
I remember that.
They look really weird to me.
Did we go on a camping trip one time, Zach, with like the Cub Scouts or something to like frickin'
Probably.
Elmswell or something? No. What's the town on the other
Elmswell?
side?
Like Hawley or something?
Yeah, Hawley. Yeah, Hawley.
Hawley's the classic.
That's
Yeah.
right, Hawley. That's the one I mean.
Sheep poo land.
And where Hawley is somewhere in that direction, though, isn't it? Hawley Bends, right? Yeah, they removed
Kinda,
those.
yeah. You go to where that was, local knowledge. You go to where that was and basically take a hard right if I'm coming from here to there.
That's pretty descriptive.
Yeah, where the bends were, you
I'm
basically
sure-
turn right into the countryside.
So-
It's
so-
that way.
So on the local big road, it's not a motorway, but it's close. It's pretty big.
Barely.
Well, I don't know.
A14.
There's a lot of traffic from. It's not your average A road, is it? There's a lot of like freight traffic from the port of Felixstowe, which is like the biggest container port in Britain,
To everywhere else.
to everywhere. So it's a reasonably big road, but it's not a motorway. But there used to be
it's
these
okay.
crazy bends where it was a 50-mile-an-hour limit, and because there were so many accidents, because people used to go around like it was a Formula One track. But since then, they
It
have
wasn't
bulldozed
the
them.
problem with the corners making people crash. It was the fact that there was a junction that cut straight across the fucking A14 on blind corners.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
a
true.
proper stupid bit of road.
Yeah, it was pretty dumb. So now they have bulldozed it. Demolished it.
But I didn't know, because at first they just bypassed it, but it was still there.
Well, it's because they had to have a road to drive on while they were building the new junction.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it was weird because-
even once they got rid of it, it was still there, but you could only access it from like certain routes because there's still places to get to on it.
But it was like a dual carriageway normally, the road, and then it split into two parts to do the bends,
Yeah,
didn't it?
it did.
Which
They
was
were- they were,
crazy.
like completely separate routes. It was a bit, but you heard me.
No, I didn't actually.
I said it was a bit, but
Oh, well, that was what I heard, and I assumed I'd heard wrong. So that was actually what he said.
It's just a bit butt there. I like
how is that any
it's
different from saying it's a bit ass? Oh, a bit ass.
I normally say things are butts. You don't normally say things are butts.
This is true.
The thing is that butt and arse both have one syllable, but butt seems more succinct because it's like quicker to say. It's a bit butt.
It's a bit, but
It's quick,
it's a bit, but
to the point.
word of
So,
the
yeah.
cast. But
I don't remember what I inherited that
So,
from.
so
did you just say because we started saying this is ass, and then you just sort of made it a bit more English? Well, no, butt's not English either. So that's kind
no,
of
it's
American.
not at all.
No.
I think it might have been one of the Penny Arcade podcasts.
It's a bit bum. That's what it is.
Because
It's just a little bit bum.
that's why I said that was why I said are we recording now? Because that's something from the Penny Arcade podcast.
Cod past.
The start of every podcast.
Is that question?
Yes,
Wow.
Dave or Mike says, "Are we
So-
recording now?"
so
Regardless of
professional.
whether he knows they are.
Okay.
That's his catchphrase. And
We
I'm
haven't
pretty
got to
sure
our
the Penny
catchphrase
Arcade
yet.
version. I'm pretty sure the Penny Arcade version of saying things are butt was saying things are all butt. It's all butt.
Okay.
So we were
Ham
camping in
doctor.
Hawley, weren't we? Did that happen? And there were birch
Yes,
trees.
okay.
I seem to remember.
I don't remember much about birch in Hawley.
No, I don't think there's much birch in the Hawley areas that we would have been camping.
No.
Hmm.
I think I sort of remember. I don't even know what they were like. Sort of fat trees,
The main-
really wide trunked trees of some kind.
The main tree,
Probably
the main birch tree locations that I remember was up near my grandma's house. There was a few along that road that I'd always walk past and peel off.
Of course.
The paper birch.
Yes.
The paper birch. Or were they silver birch?
Yeah, who knows?
Or were they just the birch?
I like
I
that.
don't know if
It's
they were
cool.
just a birch.
I like that. It's better than normal trees.
Yeah,
More
That's
interesting.
significantly better than normal trees.
Yeah, they're all silvery and papery and cool. And easy to
Right
damage.
on
this is true. It's easy to kill.
them. Yeah, easy to horribly damage them.
I mean, how much damage does that actually do if you like
Who knows?
peel a tree?
That's a good
Probably
question.
depends how much you peel it, how vigorously you peel it.
Say I took a nice third out of a silver birch, either in one lump or in like little strips everywhere.
You think you could take it off in one big
would it-
go by
would-
twisting it around and around?
Yeah, probably.
Like peel in a spiral.
I like to think so. And in my head, that's how it's working.
That'd be way too convenient if it just if you could just keep a continuous peel going, and that'd be the easiest way to fell a tree. You just keep on peeling it until it gets really finished.
And
Break.
it feels like-
Yeah, and it actually doesn't spirals up; it spirals in. You just that'd be pretty cool. How would you? It'd be a little dangerous. Like you need a quite an interesting machine to go around the whole thing and then have it fall in a specific direction as planned.
Yes. Or you'd have to you'd walk around it, but you'd have to constantly keep pressure pushed against it, so that as soon as it did break, it always fell away from you because you were pushing it.
Well, yeah, you'd have to have something more than you.
Yeah, well, it depends how big the tree was.
Yeah,
Birches aren't that big, are they? How big do they get?
they're pretty tall.
Oh yeah, I guess they're really tall, aren't they? They're like tall and
Thin.
What do you call that with trees?
Small in diameter.
Slender.
The slender tree.
Slender tree.
That's the sequel to Slenderman. Actually, you're going through a dark crowd of Slenderman.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of where how exactly you were going to phrase that one, but I knew what you were going for. Like a dark movie cinema where there's a bunch of people.
Yeah, and they're all Slenderman, but in there's a tree. That's chasing you.
A slender tree. Yeah, terrifying. You know that farm, Alder car farm? Where are the Alders? They're like way down by the A14, aren't they? Didn't we discover, Zach? There aren't any Alder trees near the farm, are there?
Well, there's a lot of farm that, has to have farmland before there's any actual trees involved.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the buildings don't have to be anywhere near where the trees are, as long as their farmland is connected to the trees.
Depends what the car part of older car means. It
I
probably
think
means
it's
something.
like
You can get to
A-
the
a
Alders by
type of
car from
wood.
the farm.
not a type of a wood as in woodland, not
Yeah.
the material wood.
like a small collection of trees or whatever.
Grove.
Yeah, I think it's like got really watery, like a what do you call it?
Flood.
Flood. No,
It's quite
wetland.
watery. Marsh.
Bayou type marsh, yeah, something like that.
Boggy.
Because it is like that in that bit down. That weird. It's right by the A14, by a tunnel under the A14 that we used to go to, Zach, from.
Yeah.
It's a nature reserve thing, and it has a lot of like wooden planks and stuff to get to move. Walkways because it is all waterlogged. So I think that is the older car. I think that's where all the trees are. There's
I went down there not that long ago. That
Oh, yeah?
shitty little nature reserve.
I'm having a horrific deja vu moment right
Have you
now.
been to that one, Rob?
I haven't, no. But
You might have been.
I'm pretty sure we've had this precise conversation on air before.
No, definitely not.
Well, there's one way to find out. Listen to every podcast we've ever
podcast.
recorded. And not just the start, because chances are we didn't say it at the start. We just brought it up randomly midway through.
Yeah.
How
It's
long
the
until we
challenge.
can search this stuff? Like,
What, until someone has audio? So
What are you asking us
Yeah.
for?
I don't know.
no, I just mean in general. I don't mean you are the experts. Tell me how many years exactly until we can search
Yeah.
through our podcast.
Yeah, there comes a point where, I guess Google would need to be transcripting every bit of audio it found.
Yeah, but say we gave permission and we were like, okay, it's on our computer.
Yeah, sure,
look,
transcript it. That would be cool, right?
Yeah, but the automatic closed captions or whatever is always starting.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I
Still.
reckon it'll be
Yeah.
bad, but there's a chance that Alder Car Farm might actually be recognised rather than
You're
All
gonna end
Dat
up with,
Car Farm.
yeah, you will end up with all the car farm.
All the Car Farm, yeah. But then we could just search for Car Farm.
That's true.
Or Calf Harm. It's actually a veal farm, car farm.
Clearly.
Anybody?
No, we're
No.
done. we're done with that. Let's move on to the actual topic, maybe, instead of random bullshit. Well, don't necessarily move on from random bullshit, but maybe like marginally less random
Okay,
bullshit.
so what's going on with
Or
you
less
guys?
specific random bullshit that no one else knows.
What's going on with you, Zeg?
Any kitchen disasters.
Yeah, any tea-related
I was just
injuries?
still having a quick think about any house-related activities that have been going on, but I don't think there has been.
I got shoes.
Rob got shoes.
What kind of shoes?
Wedding shoes.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to buy shoes tomorrow. Did you get what kind did you get?
Barkers.
Barkers.
Expensive shoes. The
Well-
most expensive pair of shoes I've ever bought, in fact.
Can you say how much? No, probably best not. Today.
Well, yeah, if anyone wants to find out how much weddings cost, you can go and look it up. It's not exactly a secret.
An expensive, man. Well, you'll be able to wear them.
One
Other
time
times.
ever.
No,
No. They should be reusable. Anytime I'm wearing a suit, or like, actually, they work quite well with like these jeans that I'm on
Yeah.
wearing right now. They didn't look too bad in just my casual ensemble.
Yeah.
Okay.
What colour are they?
Light tanny,
Cool. Okay, they go well with jeans usually.
heavily brogued.
Oh, perfect then for like nice jeans.
No brogues.
Yeah, they probably are brogues. See, you didn't take advice of what's his face in the.
Kingsman.
Yes, what's the guy's name?
What? Colin Firth. I can't
Yeah,
remember his
Colin
character's
Firth.
name, but yeah. No, I didn't go for Oxfords instead of brogues.
No. Good for you.
In
That
fact,
way you-
apparently, like the plain shoe is supposedly the fashion now. So
Oh, whatever.
some dude in a shop told me, it's like, oh man, no, you want to get the plain, and like the plain's where the fashion's at right now. And I'm like, oh, no,
That's
I've got the
Because of
brand
that, there's probably partly because of that film, and also because
Maybe,
like
yeah.
people have been wearing the other ones have been in fashion for too long, and like the fashion police are like, no, it's got to flip over now.
It's got to change now.
Whatever.
Got to make sure you're wearing bin bags, eco-friendly bin bags as footwear. It's the future. We're going to recycle Crocs and make proper shoes. It's eco-friendly. It's the future.
Makes sense. Zach still got his Crocs.
Oh, I've still got these Crocs.
Oh, you still got Zach's Crocs. Is he
They
wearing
stay at
them?
Rob's house.
Yeah, right. Okay.
They're basically
leave the building.
they're my shoes for wearing in Rob's house when my outside shoes have shit on them. Not literal shit, just stuff.
Stuff. Right. Okay. Which
I've been
may or may
walking
not
around in-
include actual literal shit.
Well, considering most of the stuff that's likely to get on my shoes come from like fields,
I guess. Yeah, could well include
some significant portion of shit.
How much do you get out and go walking around Needham, especially now it's nice weather? Or well, it's not
Well,
that nice. but it's
More
a bit
now
better.
that it's nice weather.
Yeah.
Don't go out in the winter. Also, don't really go out that much in the summer. There's like a narrow window where it's like it's moderately warm.
Is this the time?
Yeah, this is the time. Although most of the time, I'm not even the shoes that I normally wear to Rob's house are like my trainers basically, and I don't wear them to go walking most of the time. I put on my actual walking boots because I know if I'm going to walk through a field, I might need slightly more better shoes for that.
More better. It's true.
More better.
Have you
The
found
only
any
time I
new
wear-
routes, or do you just use go on the exact same walks that we used to like 10, 15 years ago?
It's really annoying. Like the area around this town, the area around here has like a really limited selection of routes. You think it's just like farmland or whatever, and there's paths all over the place, and there is technically, but like not they like all filter into each other, and there's not actually very many ones that make complete loops that are just ending up on the same bits.
I see. So they kind of always like come back to the same
Same
detour.
yeah, trunk areas. So, like, that's why that's one of the times when I've ended up going on ridiculous 3-hour walks, because it's like, I want to see something actually new. Don't just want to walk around this same bit for half an hour that I do regularly.
Do you walk towards Stowmarket or whatever? Like, we found some weird
No,
churches
you
and
can't
stuff
really
that
walk
direction.
towards Stowmarket, that's the trouble.
No.
In fact,
Because you-
really, it's like there's almost no route apart from Like it's almost a very narrow like strip that stretches out from one side of Needham that you can walk on. Because you can't go towards Stowmarket, there's not very many paths that way. You can't really go towards Ipswich, there's not very many paths that way. And you can't go the other way because like you're coming up to the A14. And there's no paths that cross that any longer. So you're stuck in this like one narrow strip that goes out the back.
There are a couple of places on there where people do, like where they're supposedly pedestrian crossings across the A14, but where they actually mean actually it's just a gap in the fence here, right?
Well, yeah.
What happens if you go up the valley away from the river, like, and keep going?
Well, can't you just follow the river?
Well, yeah, but then you're going along the river, and then at some point you have to come back along the river because that's the only path, the river path.
Sure, I guess it's not a loop, but if you were trying to get to Stowmarket, I mean.
Well, yeah, I've done that. One time when I had to go into Stowmarket for a job centre thing or whatever, and my cart was broken down, I was like, well, shit, I guess I'll fucking walk. I'll wake up at 6 o'clock and just go.
Jeez.
That took a fucking long time, though. It takes longer than you think.
Yeah, it's quite a long way, isn't it? Yeah.
How long is longer than you think?
I don't know, like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, so I was about to say 3 hours was my guess.
And also, it's the river path, so it's naturally slightly more wiggly.
I wonder how long it would take me to walk to Needham from here. Probably 3 hours.
Yeah, at least.
You should do that sometime. Not right now.
Okay.
Well, if I was going to do it, I'd at least try and... Cycling it wouldn't be too bad.
That wouldn't take very long, probably. If it was cyclable, and not...
Yeah, it's mostly cyclable.
Well, my dad's got his fancy bike, and that's what he does instead of walking nowadays. He goes out on his bike, and he was like, "You should get a bike," and because it's nice and convenient for going out, like, because the thing that I don't like about walking is having to actually put different shoes on and actually, like preparation is annoying. If I could just go, I'd probably do it more. But because I have to go through this like slight amount of rigmarole. And so he's like, oh, you should ride a bike. And I'm like, that's not actually any less preparation. If anything, that's actually more. You have to like maintain this bike.
So how long does it take you to put on like walking boots? What's the...
They're like 3 minutes. I don't know.
Oh my God. Is that really the biggest obstacle?
Well, it's like the boots and then... get my MP3 player out and
yeah, sure. This is that stuff.
At that point, you might as well just stay at home, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can listen to music on my computer.
Do you actually listen to music or podcasts on your little MP3?
Well, it depends whether I've already listened to podcasts.
Right.
Yeah, whether you're out of podcasts.
Yes, I don't have that many podcasts to listen to. I'm sure I could have if I wanted to.
I mean, you've got 137 episodes of the Saladcast you could listen to.
I already do listen to the Saladcast most of the time.
We're so funny.
Yep, exactly.
So is that the catchphrase you were looking for, Dan?
Yeah.
The catchphrase is, this is a podcast about video games.
No.
And it's time for the news.
Does that count as a catchphrase? Really?
Yes, I say it every single episode.
It's a really bad one. Come up with something funnier.
Is that defined as a catchphrase, or is it actually just a thing we say?
I think what that one is a forced meme.
Yeah,
because Dan is intending to say it every time.
It is a forced meme, yeah.
And it's not funny, because forced memes are never funny.
It's not intended to be funny. It's intended to be true. But maybe it isn't true anymore. Screw it.
It's intended to remind people while we're here, after we've talked for half an hour, of nothing like what we're here for.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, by the way, if you've been listening to us for 20 minutes, and you intend on listening to the other 2 hours of content, it's going to be about this. That's what he's basically saying.
Or will it?
Well done for listening to 20 minutes. I mean...
Yes, well done for getting through our intro of bullshit.
If what you came for was the video games, then you probably take some effort to get through this. Oh, we're critiquing ourselves again. No,
from very nearly spilled beer all over the place.
All over Bibbles.
That was a close one. News.
Yeah, anyone actually got any news? It's that horrible, news!
Well, we don't have any news because it's E3 coming up, so no news.
It's like less than a month to E3, probably about 3 weeks. and then. But yeah, as a result, we're not hearing many leaks or anything ahead of the show. Everything's gone quiet.
Well, not
It's
yet.
going
Anyway. I'm
on.
sure in the last
the
1
week
week before there'll be leaks.
The week before there'll be stuff.
Right now, it's the calm before the E3.
That's catchy. Catchy 3.
Have we really got nothing?
Well, do you want the shittest news first?
Yeah.
Okay, shittest news is that, Audio Surf 2 came out. It's out of...
What is that shit?
Because it's not really that...
You don't mean the news is bad, you mean it's
No, it's just not that...
It's not bad news, it's bad news.
Yeah, I guess. Audio Surf 2 is no longer in early access and isn't officially a thing.
I thought about buying it, but then I didn't.
Yeah, so did I. I was like...
You should buy Audio Surf 1, you bitch.
I have. I have a copy of Audio Surf 1. What are you talking about?
How long have you had that for? Because you played my
Many
account
a year.
for ages.
Oh, that's true, I did. But yeah, no, I've had an Audio Surf copy for ages.
Was it in a Humble bundle?
Might well have... No, actually, I think it was a Steam sale one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, just shut your face. I'm a legitimate game purchaser.
Apparently it has a demo. I might actually try that.
Oh, does it?
Although, what will the demo... will you be able to load your own songs in the demo? That's important.
Probably not.
Because if I can't play I Buy the Drugs,
Yeah.
how will I know whether it's good or not?
It is the yardstick by which all music games need to be judged. And anything that accepts your own tunes, anyway, has to be subjected to Electric Six.
So what's the deal
you need
with
to- you
Audio
need to see-
Surf 2? Is my question.
Well, it's basically a graphical overhaul. It looks quite it looks quite nice,
Yeah.
and but there's a few new modes, including the one they were sort of touting from the start was this sort of wakeboarding.
Yeah, I was
mode.
sort of glad to see that there are other things that aren't that weird dude on the surfboard thing.
Yeah.
Because that always looked weird to me, and I was like, I don't want to play that. That was
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, that was how they opened it. Well, mechanically, other than that, I actually don't know really that a great deal about what's changed, but it looks kind of neat. There's some neat sort of themey stuff they've done with with the road. Like there's one that makes it look like you're sort of traveling through a southwestern sunset sort of
Well, there's one
environment.
where it makes it look like an actual car driving on a road.
There's a few of those actually. Yeah, the traffic actually now sort of looks like cars rather than like cubes and stuff. So it's basically just as far as I'm aware, the majority of it is just a graphical overhaul. But who knows? There may be more. There must be more to it than that, right? Otherwise, why make a sequel?
Well, what you'd really hope for is better algorithms. See if they can improve the actual beat matching or whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's better suited to different types, or is better at detecting the type of music and making it work to that type of music, perhaps. Because certain tracks definitely worked better than others.
Well, yeah.
Or actually, what happened in a lot of cases of music that I listened to, that just ended up being a permanent downhill.
Yeah.
Like with very little lump or rhythm to it.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
Except for when you get some elements of dubstep or something where there's sort of interesting silences between the, minimal dubstep or something can be quite cool with that.
You listening to a lot of minimal dubstep lately?
No, actually, no. But, Audio Surf was a long time ago, man. I probably was back then.
But now, the sequel.
Now I just don't listen to music. Fuck that shit. No.
That's sort of what happened to me.
music, fuck that.
I've got... Because I never... Well, even past when you guys continued, I never got music anyway. So all the music I have is either ancient or dumb shit that I've downloaded more recently, which is things that I like which are dumb, but you can't listen to that forever.
I guess, or like game OSTs and things.
Yeah. So it's my playlist has been... eventually I trimmed it way down to these are the only songs that I don't skip. So I guess these are the ones that actually need to be in my playlist.
Audio Surf always did a pretty good job with the guest song thing, though.
Well, yeah.
Lesser known artists and stuff.
All I've done recently for my Winamp has had the severely cut down playlist for a while, and then recently I've added the playlist that just has all the Penny Arcade podcasts in because they're all like
Right.
they're all like 20 minutes, and that's fine. I can just listen to them.
Breaks up the tunes.
I can listen to them be funny for a while. And then I made a special playlist that only has the SimCity 3000 and SimCity 4 music in for when I was playing City Skylines.
Oh, right.
It's like, turn off their soundtrack, let's have proper SimCity music.
With a bit of Industry Giant mixed in.
I've only got like one track from Industry Giant for some
I
reason.
thought Industry Giant songs were actually just like WAVs or MP3s or something. I don't think they were hidden.
You can't fucking... Industry Giant doesn't run on anything any longer.
That does not.
No, it hasn't. I don't think it even ran on XP properly. It was totally fun. It's like it was this weird.
Was it made during XP time?
Well, sort of. It was this weird, like, incredibly specific engine that they made for that one game. That one studio made for that one game, and then basically that's why it doesn't work on anything else ever. So you can no longer play Industry Giant 2.
Can you not, or even the first?
I don't know.
Can you not VM it? Or...
Well, you might be able to VM it nowadays, yes.
Yeah. Suppose it must have been a while since you tried.
Yeah.
Because Industry Giant.
I think I might have tried it on Windows 7, but no, it doesn't work.
I'm still battling in my head about when Windows 10 upgrade happens, like whether I just move my machine to 10. Yeah. Or am I going to get compatibility issues or something like that? Because I would have to do an upgrade install on my main machine, is what I'm worried about.
We've discussed this several times. You're just going to get a new machine, and then that will be the Windows 10.
Yeah, there'll be a significant amount of time between that, though.
Will there?
Well, and I might try and run both machines, is the thing.
You can still do that and have one on each.
Oh, yep. Technically, can you, though, with the license key? I don't know.
As long as you only connect one of them to the internet at the time.
Well, which is true. So I'm not likely I'll have both of them turned on at any one time, but... Yeah, it's still a bit weird. Not quite sure what to do. I'm just a little bit worried that if I go for an upgrade install, certain things that I use will stop working. And there's no way to predict that.
I think it's fairly guaranteed that some percentage of your music shit will stop working, regardless of whether you want it to or not.
Which is what worries me. Yeah.
You had enough trouble getting it all 100% up and running on this machine, let alone.
Well, yeah, that's because music environments are just generally a pain in the arse.
That's why you still tried to keep the old machines, in case you ever wanted to run music stuff on old machines.
Well, yeah, I VM'd my last machine, didn't I? Because I could.
If only your laptop hadn't actually been busted, you could have kept that forever and had that just be your Windows XP music machine.
That's true. Just firing it up. Oh man, that laptop was so bad though.
The mother laptop.
The mother laptop, yeah. When it worked, for that brief year that it worked, 2 years, that it sort of held itself together.
That time when it could easily play SimCity 4.
Yeah.
And we were like, fuck yeah.
It's like,
let's both play SimCity 4 next to each other. Because, I don't know.
That was it, because we were trying to do the multiplayer, weren't we? Or something?
No, we weren't.
Oh, no,
we just both liked SimCity, I guess.
There was no multiplayer, was there? No, I forget, because we tried to do that thing in SimCity 4 where one person plays as one of the cities that you could have.
Yeah, even I played in that. Didn't I have the biggest city in that stupid
Yeah, I think we did it on your machine, didn't we, Dan?
No, we did it on mine, I think.
Yeah.
You could move the save.
Oh, maybe we did
so we did that, I'm pretty sure.
So what are the names of your computers been? The mother laptop.
The mother laptop, Beef Pooter.
Beef Pooter. Ice.
I'm currently on ice.
What's the new one going to be?
I haven't got a clue, actually.
It's probably going to be like freezer section again.
Well, they only called this one Ice because it's got like a silver case and blue lights, and I was lacking in inspiration.
Yeah.
And because you're glacial, you go by glacial, so...
I guess, yeah.
So you have to make up ice-related puns.
But then, should my next machine not be silver and blue? Should I segregate it more and make it like, I don't know, green or something crazy? Red. Let's make it all red. And then call it Fire so I can have Fire and Ice.
Okay.
Fire shit is a name as well. The Burninator. We'll just run it through the Burninator.
Who cares what your computer's called?
The Burn Booster.
Because naming computers is important.
No, it isn't. When did you ever say that? When you say it relatively quite a lot because you still have multiple machines that you can theoretically boot into.
Do you name your...
working with several machines at work simultaneously, so they all have genius names, or less genius names, actually. But
what's your work machine upstairs called?
PC9. it's actually not got a good name. It's PC9.
PC9.
Because it was the name the work network gave it. It's got a longer name than that, but it's effectively PC9.
PC9.
Do you name your... like a lot of the test like units we have at work are like named after. Some of them are named after Formula One drivers. So we've got like Hamilton and Button is a surface. Right. And
yeah, I don't like that themed bloody meeting rooms or whatever. Like Trainline has all train. I think I'm working in a meeting room called Smokestack.
I kind of like that. I'm working in the Smokestack, yo.
Yeah. I don't know, but it doesn't seem. Some of them seem to be named after
smoking
stations,
fat stacks.
Yeah, but it's like that one is quite good because there's 3 meeting rooms in a row along the wall, and I think they're like labeled. Smokestack is at the right hand side, and then the one in the middle is boiler, and then the one on the left is firebox or something like that. So it's like, oh, that actually makes sense.
That sort of makes sense, yeah. Don't burn me in the firebox, man.
At least they're not actually themed like the bloody Karmarama ones, which have like it's called the ski lodge because it's literally a ski lodge, like inside, or it's a motorbike maintenance shed that also doubles as a meeting room.
Okay, we'll go to the shed.
Yeah. Or the living room, which is literally just like a living room, but they use that complete with sofas and bookshelves and everything.
That's kind of cool. The lounge, if you call it the lounge. Lounge is better than the living room.
Yeah, it's a bit too American though.
Lounge. Only if you say it American.
No one says lounge, do they? People say like front room. What do you say?
Yeah,
Zach? I can't remember.
Do say front.
You say front room.
Yeah, usually.
I think my rents definitely call it front room.
Your room isn't even in the front though, Zach.
Arguably it is. It's like on the furthest away from the row of houses.
It's on the front and back.
Sort of. It doesn't actually go all the way well.
Is the front of the house relative to the front door, though?
Well, in that case, it does go. It is on the wall with the front door as well.
Technically, it could be a front room. It's allowed.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
It's allowed.
It's allowed. I allow it.
Whereas, if you're going by that logic, then my house isn't exactly my parents' house isn't exactly a front room, is it? Because it's off to the side, in the same sort of way, and there's no window there.
Same with your one, so, but your one's got a window to the front.
No, it's got a window to the front. So by my logic, it counts.
What do you call it?
I technically actually call it the living room.
There we go. It's the living room, man.
My grandma's house.
I don't like the sound of it, but that's what I call it.
Yeah.
One of my grandma's houses actually had an actual front room where it was like a dining room, so it had a proper dining table and nothing else in it basically, and it never got used. It was like a proper front room. You never use it apart from like parties or whatever,
right, I see.
Or Christmas.
Was it at the front, so you had to lead people through it? You had to lead people through it the whole time, just to say, "Hey, look at this fancy room that you're not going to be in."
You did go through it, but it was the only room at the front of the house. So you come in the front door, and you basically just had to walk like 10 feet down the corridor next to this room that no one ever goes into to get to the rest of the house.
Yeah, I think Sally and Nigel had a similar thing. Henry.
Yeah, I think I know places that are like that. Yeah, that people.
I really don't like those. Well, I don't like those houses where you open the front door and you're in the living room. That is weird.
Yeah,
have you been in one of those?
Yeah, but I'm not too much of a fan. I kind of get the practicality, but
yeah, sure, but not a fan.
Where does all your coats and shit go?
Yeah, you have to keep them in the living room, I guess.
Stick them on the couch. It's where your cushions come from. You're actually
all your coats.
You're resting on coats. Yeah.
We don't need cushions because when we need cushions, we'll have our coats with us, and when we don't, we'll be out and we'll have our coats.
Yep, it works out.
Efficiency.
Cost-saving advice from Robco.
One use.
Not that Robco wants you to save costs.
There's no news. Let's
Clearly.
just keep talking about
There-
coats.
There's news. Like, there's been one. Well, it's sort of announcement. It's not really been officially announced. There was an announcement for an announcement, but turns out EA are going to make a new Need for Speed, but they're rebooting it apparently, and it's just going to be called Need for Speed.
Right. Well, that Fast and the Furious film made some money, so
Yeah, it does look like they're going in that direction again. So it looks like it's probably going to be a sort of remake of, or at least a revisiting of the ideas that Need for Speed Underground had.
that was the
Isn't
only
necessarily bad.
quite good one.
Yeah, Underground kind of stood out. At the time, it was quite technically impressive.
Yeah.
It ran pretty well on the mother laptop, by the way. Had some interesting things, like the drag racing game, and it was actually kind of interesting. It's a little simple. Because you didn't really steer the car, you pushed to change lanes, and the focus was on you getting your shifting correct and stuff like that. So it was more of a mini game than an actual game, but it was kind of cool. It was a nice presentation and stuff. So yeah, maybe if they Fast and Furious enough that it'll be all right. I mean, come on, because the last few Need for Speed games have just not excited us at all, have they? What was it? You played Most Wanted? That was the last one you touched, was it? And there was that the one they did when the Xbone and PS4 launched. I can't even remember what that was called. Was that another Most Wanted or something?
No.
I've got no idea.
No.
I really don't. But there was no part of that looked interesting.
I mean, is it the Burnout Criterion or whatever?
I doubt it, because Criterion are supposedly working on that mystery project.
Yes, their mystery drive a lot of things game.
Because don't forget, that was pretty much all we got out of E3 last year, was
Oh, yeah.
concepts of games that they don't really know what the fuck they are anymore, of which I think at least 2 of them have since been cancelled.
What happened to Mirror's Edge 2?
Well, yeah, they've teased that before, haven't they? That they're thinking about it. That's pretty much all they meant. It's like they're thinking about it. This is Beyond Good and Evil 2 all over again. God damn it, when is that ever going to happen?
Oh, yeah. Jeez. What, that never happened, did it?
It never happened.
Oh, Christ.
Same as Last Guardian. Come on.
They did put together like a teaser for Mirror's Edge 2, didn't they? Because
Sort of, yeah.
everyone was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Mirror's Edge 2, and then it showed her using a gun. It was like, no, you've done it again, you idiot.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was like, no, you're still not quite going in the right direction with this. I suppose it was always a choice in those games, but
Sort of, yeah.
Not really. It's kind of, but there's some sections of that were really hard to get through without
murdering
being boring.
dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of its sort of flaws. And there's an inherent problem, isn't there, of just running away from people with guns.
Mm.
They didn't need to have guns.
No.
They
No.
could very easily have made this dystopian future a future where no one has guns, even the cops. Because
Yeah.
no one needs guns, because no one has guns. Would have been perfectly fine.
Just go fucking crazy with it. Have everything have giant hammers. Like, even the helicopters just fire giant hammers. Like, boom! Probably make it a more awesome game.
Maybe they could have had some kind of first-person Batman combat. I don't know how that would work. It
No.
would be really, really motion sickness inducing, as if it wasn't already.
Yeah.
But that didn't seem to stop them. So
That was the only reason they put that dot in the middle of the screen, to try and stop people
Yeah.
from having motion sickness issues.
Mm.
And it actually ended up being a useful indicator as well for when, like, didn't you have like a special? Oh, you had a slow down time ability, didn't you, for certain combat situations?
Mm.
Yeah, that's all blinked blue slightly when that was ready to go. Yeah, so EA. Let's hope we see some stuff out of EA this year, because
that'll probably be it.
They had a pretty good year last year in terms of the games they put out compared to most other people, but their E3 was pretty bad. So let's hope there's something there. Let's hope they presume. It's the question of, like, is it still too early to talk about the new Mass Effect, or is it still too early to talk about Criterion's project? Or
Well, apparently not, because they already did. So they've talked about it in their desperate attempt to fill
a conference
with anything.
Yeah.
And they can't not talk about it this time because everyone will think it's been cancelled or something.
Well, while we're on this subject, there's 8 conferences this year.
Well, sort of.
8 press events. It's gone from 5 to 8. I mean, 5 was already quite a lot, really. But so you've got the big 5 are still doing it. So you've got your EA, your Ubisoft, Microsoft, Sony, and Ninty, sort of.
Yes, but Nintendo isn't a conference.
No, it's not a conference. But it is it's still a video we're going to watch. But now you've got Bethesda doing its own event, which I'm hoping means something. That in order for them to fill an event, there's got to be more than perhaps Doom and Fallout. Yeah, there's got to be some other stuff. I'm guessing there's probably an Elder Scrolls thing.
Well, they'll probably just fill a bunch of time talking about fucking Elder Scrolls Online coming to console.
To come to consoles, yeah. I'm with you. That's almost certainly going to happen. I hope. Actually, thinking about it, I hope Sony's conference is shorter this year, and they
won't be.
No, but it depends entirely. If they get someone on to talk for half an hour about a TV show nobody cares about,
or a book.
Yeah, no one wants to watch. Did anyone watch Powers? I really want to know if that became a thing. Has it even happened yet? I don't know.
We have no idea.
Just get it out of my conference, man. It's and I know how passionate this guy must have been for it, but God, that was a dull 20 minutes, or however long it was. It felt like forever. Good third of the conference. That's what I'm going with. So we've got them. Square Enix are doing their own thing.
Is that actually
really?
a conference though?
Yeah, it's a proper conference.
Do what?
Final Fantasy 15.
Final Fantasy 15.
Deus Ex, Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Basically all the games. They actually have a lot of games.
They have quite a busy year, yeah. Which is unusual for them, I suppose.
Just Cause 3?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, that's this year, apparently. So that'll be that conference. There'll be those 4 games, at least. And then you've got the weird one. You heard anything about this one before I even mention it?
I have not.
It's the AMD presents the PC Gaming Conference or something like that. It's got a terrible fucking name.
What?
But yeah, it features a number of PC focused.
It makes sense if
developers.
Steam did one, but they never would.
No.
Not Steam, sorry, Valve. Sorry, not Steam.
I don't even know if Valve are at this PC gaming thing.
They don't even turn up usually to E3.
The only person I know that are going to have a bit at this is Blizzard.
Right.
They're doing a little bit. And the thing is 3 hours long, apparently. And I've read a lot of stuff about people predicting, actually, it's probably going to be a few announcements at the start, followed by some sort of round table discussion about the state of PC gaming. So who knows what's coming out of that?
Well, the only game that I've seen anything AMD in for ages is Dirt Rally.
Sure.
It has that AMD logo at the start.
Well, just because it's AMD Presents doesn't mean it's AMD focused game.
But that's literally the only AMD thing I've seen for ages.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I only remember it in Dirt 3.
Because the AMD have been annoyed. Is it AMD being annoyed about Nvidia and the stupid hair effects or something in Witcher 3? It's a similar thing to Tomb Raider. It's not Tress effects. It's some other thing, isn't it?
I've no idea.
They've got their own hair tech for Witcher 3.
Yeah, they're like, you sabotage the performance or whatever. But in general, it's just turn that thing off. Even on Nvidia, turn that thing off.
Sure, Tress effects did take quite a lot out of Tomb Raider, but it was a cool effect. I had it on most of the time.
Even at this point, after, I don't know, I can't even begin to say how many years, probably at least 10, we're still at the point where there's 2 competing hair technologies and one 3D graphics card can't handle it, so you just turn it off on that one. Just like black and white.
This is true. Actually. Yeah.
Yep. Standard.
Hair tech. Hair is hard. That's all we've proven in the last decade, is that hair is hard.
At least in the case of Tomb Raider and The Witcher, it's required because these are people's heads with hair on them, rather than black and white 2 where it's just we've made these 2 characters the 2 characters and then I guess the creatures as well.
Yeah.
It's like you could have made them less hairy, particularly the consciences. It's like the evil one. Why does he have hair at all? He could just be totally bald. That would make perfect sense for a demon.
He could have been a skin imp. In fact, that's how I remember him. I don't remember him having hair.
Was because you didn't turn it on.
I guess, yeah.
In Black and White 2, where he got all fuzzy.
I didn't play Black and White 2, so maybe that's it.
Whereas the beard guy obviously has a beard, but then he had all this extra unnecessary hair to make it even worse.
Shave your arms, man. Shave your arms.
I love how the evil conscience had just a really thick Brooklyn accent.
Classic.
It's got all of the accents in that game are messed up.
Yep. I mean, the English ones in anything by Molyneux are just embarrassingly awful, like West Country accents for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, really exaggerated for some reason. He must have directed them to do that.
Yeah,
he's
not West Country, is he? So, like, I don't know where
he
it comes
isn't.
from.
I'm just saying, like, oh, you've got this.
He thinks it sounds medieval.
Yeah. We ain't going nowhere till we've got some wood, grain, whatever we need.
They didn't have that bad accent.
No,
those guys.
They were alright, I guess. But in Fable, it got worse.
Well, yeah.
And then in Fable 2, it got worse again.
No, in Fable 3, they had John Cleese.
True that.
True story.
True that.
News.
All right, what else is happening? Project Cars probably won't be coming out on Wii U after all.
Okay.
Well,
after the developers have basically come out and said, look, we just can't get the performance out of this. Like, at last check, they were doing roughly 25 frames per second out of the game, and they're just like, no, it's just not good enough. So they might not release it.
They probably won't.
Like, regardless, I'm sort of impressed they tried this much.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it like a promise, a Kickstarter promise or something? Because that's probably why.
That's a good question. Yeah, that probably is what they were going for. Yeah.
Letting people down that back the project because they own an inferior console. Well, it's not inferior, but it's not exactly ideal for hardcore racing.
Well,
games.
no. I suppose the idea was that maybe you could use the gamepad as a steering wheel.
No.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Who knows? Yeah, so there's that. Oculus have purchased a UK-based AR company called Surreal Vision.
Good. Buy them all up.
Yep. In order, they're sort of AR focused with a specialization in recreating like actual locations in 3D with the idea of you being at an actual place. So
in the kind of
presumably they're in some sort of modeling, I guess, where they sort of can scan an environment and be all like, right, this is what that environment looks like. We're going to turn that into an engine, and then we're going to put some AR stuff in it or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like what Oculus want to do is they want to be able to do what the Valve thing does, but without putting the sensors, putting the things in the
I
room.
read this differently. By recreating an environment, I figured they meant this is going to be them rendering somewhere that you're not. It's a way of capturing a room, say, or a location, and having it so they can represent it. This actually is somewhat supported, I think, by what Facebook said when they originally purchased Oculus, that they were tempted at the reason why they bought Oculus was because of the platform opportunities, and maybe them and Microsoft, because of Microsoft being quite a stakeholder in Facebook and all that garbage, see potential in like meetings where everyone's wearing VR headsets and are actually in the same room with each other, a bit like the glasses in Kingsman.
Sure.
But then surely HoloLens is better suited to something like that. I don't know.
You'd think so, because then you're still in your normal environment, but you're projecting the images of people into it, which could totally work until you have people walking through tables and stuff and it going weird.
But yeah, that happened. Yeah, in a week of light news that might be worth mentioning, maybe. Probably zero application to games, maybe. Unless they're going to, take their location scanning stuff to...
Did we talk about the minimum, the system requirements that Oculus put up for, gaming in general with the Oculus?
Well, I think we might have hinted at it last time, but isn't it like recommended 970 or something?
Yeah, it was like 970. Yeah.
In fairness, that is what Codemasters recommend for Dirt Rally. Apparently, is a 970. Yeah,
Really weird. I'm sure it must run quite nice on.
it ran all right on my 670.
I mean, I do have a 970, but that's only because I recently upgraded or whatever. And I think it's not going to be enough for like, it's going to be great. I mean, my 970 is going to be great for my screen for quite a while to come, but I don't think it's going to be enough for like the latest games on Oculus. Like, probably given the resolution and the fact that you have to double it.
I'm used to trying to get things to work in 3D kits, so I'm used to the sacrifices you may have to make.
Yeah, it's going to make
me
sick.
Just because the screen of Oculus is like that res, you don't necessarily actually have to run the game at that res if you're okay with it.
Yeah, I guess not. Anyway, we'll see.
What else we got? Take-Two are suing the BBC over that GTA drama thing they're making.
Oh, whatever. Daniel Radcliffe, isn't it?
Yep. Because apparently they couldn't come to an agreement about how the trademarks were being used. So I think Take-Two probably felt that the GTA name might have been being, I don't know, put in a bad light, I guess is the way to say it, or
besmirched.
Yeah, I had that exact word in my head, but I was having a moment where it's just like, I'm not 100% sure that's right here.
I just didn't want to say it because I used that word recently, and now people are taking the mick out of me for saying, but not really taking the mick, but keep using the word besmirched. Now, a person I work with,
is a great word.
I know, I think it's a good word, and I used it appropriately, but they were like, "Nah, he's besmirching me, besmirching my good name." Don't besmirch the name of Grand Theft Auto.
It's libel. So yeah, who knows what's happening with that? Apparently, like the title of that so far, the working title at least, is Game Changer.
All right, that's okay. Could be worse.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there's an old film. I tried looking it up at one point. I'm pretty sure there's something else called Game Changer, like a poop film from the 80s or something.
It's probably about terrorists attacking the White House or something. That sounds exactly like that kind of movie.
Yeah. Has it got Denzel Washington in it? As the president.
Yeah.
The thing is, the Hauser brothers or whatever that run GTA or whatever, they didn't come in until GTA 3, I don't think.
No, so maybe that's part of the story was about the whole Jack Thompson thing, which is sort of GTA 3 time as well, so.
Right, yeah. It's probably around that time. Probably won't have much of like DMA.
Oh, probably won't. No, probably won't be that stuff. Or maybe there is. Maybe it's about the change from that team to what Rockstar became.
Yeah, quite different. I still like the first Grand Theft Auto.
Kill Frenzy. Molotov cocktail. Jingo.
Oh yeah, Kill Frenzy. They changed it to Rampage, didn't they? It's just not the same.
For GTA 3, and then got rid of it completely, didn't they?
Actually, there are Rampages in GTA 5, but they're only for like Trevor. But they are full on Rampages. Yeah, they're there. They're like individually done or whatever, so they're themed or whatever.
Okay. Huh. Weird.
Yeah. Because they weren't.
I guess it sort of makes sense. Yeah, I guess it sort of makes sense in Trevor's case, but
yeah, exactly. Well, that's why they've got the excuse to do it. Now they've got with the Trevor character, they were like, "Oh, we can bring back Kill Frenzies."
The Kill Frenzies were always so bonkers, weren't they? Like there was like GTA 2 at least introduced the where you picked up a frenzy and you get given a weapon or something, and you had to use that weapon.
Yeah, that was how it worked, wasn't it? Yeah,
was
like
it? Okay.
Flamethrower or something. I think that's how it worked in one even.
In one, okay. Like the Electro Fingers challenge, I always remember. For some reason. Like GTA 2, it's like, for some reason, lightning just comes forth. GTA 2 was a cool game. Actually, both of them were kind of cool. It me kind of wonders why they didn't ever really try and go back to that. That's the 2D formula, or at least try something like that.
Well, there's that Chinatown Wars thing. That was
that's the only one I can think of, and that was people seem to like that.
Yeah, I tried playing it on an iPhone. It's like, nope, this is a DS game. This is not playable.
Right.
I think it was free for like a day or something. I
Huh.
don't remember. I definitely didn't buy it. So I was like, nope, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, the DS might not have been the platform for that, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, we shall see about the BBC. I'm sure it'll be probably not that good.
That's all I've got. That is all I've got. News is over, man. Okay.
News is over. Do we have any
I watched
news
something. Well, actually, sort of news. Like, not news. This is not news about not news. Okay. Like, I watched one of those, like, Larry Herb, Major Nelson thing this week on Xbox things the other day. And he was talking about something. Oh, no, I can't remember the name of it now. It was like Killer Instinct something. Like there's a Killer Instinct thing? What's this? It was a dumb name, like Killer Instinct Millions or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, which he then totally went on to not talk about. Like, he even introduced it. And it was like, we're going to talk about this, and this. And then didn't talk about it. Unless it's a running joke in the show.
Okay.
I don't know. Not news.
That really was.
Yeah, I can't. The problem is I can't remember what the bloody hell we even said now, so, Cool story, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to, like E3 wise? What do you reckon's going to happen? I mean, is it too early for predictions?
Should we
leave
it's
it
going to
2
have to
weeks and then do predictions?
Yeah, maybe.
We don't predict things. That's not how it works with us. We don't actually know anything about the industry. We just predict really obvious things that we know are going to happen anyway. Like
Sure.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, for example.
Yeah, where would that show, though?
Well,
No one has any hopes for that though, because of the
What the hell is
developer.
what the hell is Sony going to show, though? Sony are going to have to show something. No Man's Sky, obviously.
again, yeah, still.
But Uncharted has been pushed.
Doesn't mean they can't show it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll
they'll
definitely
probably
show some
show-
more Uncharted. That looked amazing last time, so it always looks
Did-
amazing, to be honest.
Yeah, did look good. But then, like, what are Sony going to say to get us excited for 2015 is what I mean. Like, what else is up their sleeve? Because I really don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with video
God
games.
of War, probably.
Yeah.
Microsoft have obviously got some obvious ones, like Halo 5 is obviously going to be talked about, and
Oh, it's not.
the Gears of War thing will be
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about. Forza 6 will be talked about.
Forza 6
Yeah, Forza
Right.
6 is coming out this year.
this year already.
Yeah.
That seems quite quick. Oh, well.
That's 2 years since Forza 5.
Yeah, that's true.
But they barely managed to keep their promises about supporting Forza 5.
Well, they added some stuff.
Yeah, eventually.
We got the Nürburgring and a couple of extra tracks. They did all right, I think, with Forza 5. They added stuff for free, so who can complain with that?
Well, you can't complain about the free stuff. But the stuff that you were complaining about was why the stuff was free.
I suppose. What you mean? The sort of just not that many courses.
Yeah. The
Not-
kind
not
of
many
general
ribbons.
sort of poopy aura that surrounded Forza 5
Poopy aura.
seemed to be run.
Yeah, Forza 5 was all about the microtransaction, or the matrix, as we were calling them at the time. Yeah, it was rotten with matrix. But it was alright, a good game. I think, like, in general, I prefer it to Horizon, but or at least it kept me hooked more than Horizon did. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think
Well-
there's something about because Horizon is, as I said before, like when we talked about it, it's more about driving than it is about racing. That perhaps the hook of Forza 5 was that I'd had something to fight against more.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't really get into the competition of Horizon. It was more
Element.
like, well, I'm just going to do these things.
Yeah.
even if
man.
do these things only earns me like 9% completion by the time I finish the finale. It's like, oh god, this game is enormous.
I was watching some Burnout 3 gameplay on YouTube. It's like, why can't they make a game like this? God damn it. It's amazing.
Man, Burnout 3. Oh,
so good.
What game. Even whatever Burnout 4 was, it's a good game.
Come on, Criterion. Make sure you're...
Whatever it is you're making, you better pull it out of the bag.
It better be. If it's half as good as that, then...
What are Ubisoft going to show this year as well? Like, I don't actually... I mean, they're going to show Syndicate, surely. I mean, no, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, not Syndicate. I don't even know who owns Syndicate. Is that EA? Or...
I think so, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely will be, because it's like...
Oh, it's on Origin, isn't it?
Yeah. I saw a rumor that there's going to be a new XCOM game announced.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, XCOM, like, if someone made a Syndicate game that was as good and, like, true to the original as, like, XCOM Enemy Unknown,
because that's the second Firaxis team, isn't it? And they've been somewhat quiet for a while.
Yeah, and that game was amazing. I loved that XCOM game.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
It is Enemy Unknown, yeah.
Right.
But what are they going to do for the next one? They can't just make Terror from the Deep. That would be funny, but that's not going to happen.
That'd be
pretty funny. No, I reckon they'll carry on with it. They'll play it relatively safe if they're going to sequelize it, I reckon.
Yeah, but you can't make a sequel to that game because as little story as it had, it was a contained story.
Well,
it was over, yeah.
And it's mechanically sound and quite... I don't know how you could...
And, like, internally balanced. I guess.
I mean, even with the expansion added a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure you could go much further without sort of starting to break it. You know, you'd have to do something fundamentally different.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the one thing that everyone wants to see is, like, some kind of random map generation if you're going to make a tactical game, for God's sake.
Yes, yeah, less of the repeating stages.
And they sort of want, like... the stupid invade your base combat thing. I don't know if that would work, but I mean, it's an obvious.
Well, that's actually
not with the Ant Farm style base, anyway.
Well, like it could. You just have to like reinterpret these sideways views slightly differently.
I guess
your base would end up being like quite thin and tall.
I guess
because of how the Ant Farm would convert.
Well, yeah, the Ant Farm kind of worked because they made it like that because they wanted the concept of digging, didn't they?
Well, that you sort of still had that in the original, apart from it was like each individual part of your base had to be linked, so you had to build it was like building a tunnel, only from the top-down perspective.
Like Dungeon Keeper, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon. That'd be cool to see. That'd be cool to see, because that was a hell of a game.
Yeah,
that game was great.
Just doesn't seem like there's any way they can really easily do it.
No.
And have it make logical sense in an XCOM universe style.
I'm not going to, but this talk is making me want to play XCOM. God damn. This doesn't happen to me with very many games like that. Like, oh man, that game's so good.
That game is awesome.
I think if I had the expansion, I could totally go for it right now. But there's too much new stuff to play.
That's the trouble.
Go play the original. That would get rid of that.
Oh yeah, go play the DOS version and be all like, yeah, fuck this shit.
Well, you'll probably be doing that next week at this rate, Zach.
Probably.
You do return to it with fairly regular frequency.
It hasn't been long enough yet. I can still remember like the exact way to do everything.
Oh, okay.
Which not that that's ever not been the case after I learned how to do it. I always eventually remember where it's like, oh, you have to get the lasers first or whatever. I know which thing to research to get the right stuff quickly.
I guess that's the thing. The original XCOM was more of a roguelike in that sense. In the very vague sense of what roguelike now means.
Theoretically, the new XCOM is theoretically a roguelike, apart from you just never let anyone die because you just don't.
Yeah, there are ways around. Unless you are.
If they actually managed to rebalance the game in a way where it made sense to actually let people die, then that could be an actually new sort of way of playing it.
Well, I guess that was why they added iron mode effectively to make it a bit like Civ, so like going back is hard.
Well, yeah, but if they made it so that it was a squad-based tactics game where losing one or two guys wasn't an instant failure, then you could actually make it like actually be able to lose people and have like multiple squads and that kind of stuff.
See, what XCOM needs is Vice to just charge into every situation and win.
Okay, we need to do a crossover with Valkyria.
That'd be amazing. Even an XCOM style game with the Valkyria Chronicles setting would be pretty cool. Or vice versa.
Wait, what?
Like do an XCOM style like
tile-based.
More tile-based, sort of that sort of strategy stuff, but doing the Valkyria Chronicles. But then exactly the same in the other direction works as well.
Basically, the only thing that is different between the two is being tile-based or not.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Well, and the direct control element and the sort of real-time, semi-real-time fudgery that Valkyria does.
Semi-real-time fudgery.
There you go. That's the technical term. I will be using that in my next developers conference.
Okay.
Semi-real-time fudgery and the art thereof. Besmirch away. What if they did do XCOM like Valkyria Chronicles, like with that sort of movement? Because I think that's an underused idea.
Oh yeah.
Or what if the next XCOM is actually the next XCOM?
The next XCOM.
The next XCOM. The next X. That's what it's going to be called. Next XCOM.
Yeah.
What if the next XCOM is actually a step back and they've gone more Advanced Warsy with it? Because where's Advanced Wars, buggers?
Oh yes, that is a problem. Oh, I was looking at the eShop area, and you know how there's the third in the Pushmo series,
Stretch Mo.
Guess what that's called in the EU version?
I can't remember what the EU version of Pushmo is called. It's not Pushmo, is it?
Pushmo is Pool Blocks.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Or is that Crashmo?
That's probably Crash Blocks, right?
No, or that might have been Pool Blocks.
Okay.
I think Pushmo was. No, I don't remember.
Push Blocks?
Well, anyway, the most recent one, which is called Stretchmo in US territories, I guess. For some reason, the EU version is called Full Blocks, which is like, what?
Oh, maybe one of them was called Fall Blocks.
Full Blocks, that's it.
Yeah. So Full Blocks.
Full Blocks. It's like
they're terrible names.
Full has nothing to do with stretching. What? How did you come to that?
But even Pull Blocks is a terrible name. It's like Push Mode, Crash Mode, Stretch Mode, clearly better names.
Yep.
Clearly. They're more distinctive anyway than Pull Blocks. What am I doing? Well, you're pulling blocks.
It's with an X, though.
If it was Push Blocks, it's like you're pushing blocks. What, like Soccer Band? No, not quite. I mean...
Well, yeah.
You're in this whole sort of like, how do you describe the game territory?
Speaking of Soccer Band...
Oh, Push Mode, right, got ya, yeah.
Speaking of Soccer Band, you see what else coming out on Steam this week?
Chips Challenge 2.
Fuck yes.
That is news, actually.
They finally resolved the copyright issues that prevented them from putting out Chips Challenge 2 for 15 years or whatever.
25, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah, a long time.
I think they actually, they spent the last 5 years trying to get it back or something. But the guy basically gave up after, the copyright stuff went down.
It didn't seem like it was going to be important after he released a new game that was called Chunks Challenge, and it was just like, fuck it. Why was he worried? He could have just gone into the Chips Challenge 2 programming and edited the text. It would have taken about 3 seconds.
Yeah,
because it was probably not very difficult to edit.
But for some reason, it made a whole different game. I really don't know the story. It sounds like...
Well, I don't know why he made Chuck's Challenge.
It sounds semi-interesting.
By all accounts, it wasn't as good as Chips Challenge, despite it being a significantly more modern game.
Chips Challenge 2?
Yeah.
Totally exists.
It's exactly the same as Chips Challenge 1, except it's basically it's like, you might as well consider it a DLC for Chips Challenge 1. It's just more levels.
Advanced Chips Challenge, I suppose. Yeah. With Melinda the Mental Marvel?
Which apparently she was always in Chips Challenge 1. I never knew the story of Chips Challenge, because I don't remember the Windows 3.1 version ever actually having story.
No.
I just remember it just boot into the first level, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Kind of didn't Kai do that as well in games like that.
Yeah. Maybe it was in the help file.
Maybe, yeah. That old sauce. That's how I refer to like people these days. Oh, you old sauce.
I thought you would say that you can refer to people as the help file.
That's actually even better. Hey, Zach, you help file. I like that quite a lot. It's kind of double-edged. Depending on the tone you use.
Yes.
Oh, man, you're such a help file. Or, oh, thanks, Zach, you're such a help file. Yeah, so that happened.
Yep.
Chip times 2 is a thing. I had one of those moments when I saw it pop up, which is like, is this actually a new release, or is it like,
Yeah.
is it just come to Steam for some reason?
Yeah.
But no, it turns out it hadn't actually ever been released before. Probably existed in
that
Where's Land. I don't know. Oh. Where's? Any more news?
No, I think we're fucking out of fucking news. Jesus. Oh.
We made it work. It's fine.
Sort of.
We can keep the newsroom staff on.
It's time for what you've been playing. Woo!
Who?
Woo-hoo.
Pick a person, Dan.
Pick a person.
Well, you normally decide who talks.
I know what to do.
You have to pass the speaking stick.
But I can't decide. Okay, Rob, you go first.
All right. Should we? No, okay, pick an order. Right? Big to small, or small to big?
This is like
Big to
the
small.
Well, we had already had the pre-podcast discussion of whether Rob should have a big beer or not.
Yeah.
And it turned out the big beer was very big. So we decided on the small one.
Are you going to do
So
the
let's
same
start
thing
with
here?
small games, I guess.
We'll start with small. Actually, I
Fine.
think small to big is probably the more interesting way around to do this.
Really? Okay, let's do it.
Or probably not. Depends on your enthusiasm. Like, start with the shit.
So not just small, but also shit.
Well, kinda. So I'm going to start with Castle Storm, the definitive edition.
Okay.
That was May's Game with Gold on Xbone. And I think it's effectively a consoleization of an iPad game. And it's possibly one of the least, I don't know, inspired things I've played in a while. They've basically taken concepts from like a number of other games that have existed for a while and tried to mash them together with somewhat successful results, it has to be said. So it's got the most obvious comparison is with Angry Birds, but with two people playing it simultaneously. So you have a ballista at the front of your castle, you're trying to shoot stuff at the other person's castle in order to destroy it while they're also doing the same thing. And there's a sort of race mechanic to that as well. Simultaneously, you're playing a tower defense game in which you're sending troops to walk along the floor to defeat the troops coming from the other side, lest they break down your door and start taking your flag back to their base, which is also a win condition. And, of course, you having a ballista or, birds to throw, and there is actually a bird you can throw from your ballista. just saying, there is a bird. It's probably quite angry, and you can fire it. You can also, you have to manage this troop thing as potentially another way of winning the game. But there's a third mechanic, which I don't know, like this probably isn't that stolen from anywhere, this one, where you can, one of the magic powers you have, you can summon a hero into battle, and you basically take direct control on the battlefront to basically decimate a few troops, like the hardened troops out of the way. Basically like a special move. And you have other magic powers as well that you could use, like just stab a load of dudes with magic swords and stuff, blah, 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 blah. And all of those are in play at the same time. in a competitive environment. So it's a little bonkers. It's a little hectic. It's a little, it doesn't control too badly, to be fair. Like, whenever you press the A button, you know you're going to be doing something with your ballista. So whenever you press X, you're going to be doing something with your troops. And Y for magic. So actually kind of, after a little while, you get used to it. You get used to, oh, crap, I need to order some more troops. Double tap X, and I'll get some guys in. I need to switch to my farting sheep bombs. Let's get the ballista out and fire a farting sheep.
As you do.
As you do. And, actually, at its core, it kind of works. But it just, the whole time you're thinking, I've probably played this game in many different forms before, and the fact that they're mashed together doesn't really
improve things.
No, it doesn't really add to it. It makes things more crazy because it's and a little bit more hectic, because it doesn't help that you can never zoom the camera all the way out to see the entire battlefield, which I think is a mistake. You can zoom it out far enough that you can be somewhat effective with your ballista, but you can never fully see the entire battlefield. And it would be useful to be able to see what's going on in parts of the screen you can't see. Like if they're landing too many hits on your castle, maybe you should start focusing more on attacking their castle rather than focusing on, or maybe you should go, oh crap, I need to focus on the troop battle. To make strategic decisions, perhaps you need to see more of the battlefield than what you're currently focusing on. And a map may have solved that problem. There's probably some space at the top of the screen where they could have put a sort of little map of where everything is and how your castle's doing and that kind of stuff. Or that I think is a bit weird. Like, it just doesn't feel, the game space feels too big for what they show you. And it's weird because then there are times then where the campaign at least actually then sort of sometimes simplifies things down. So it's like, oh, in this battle you're not going to have troops. It's a ballista fight effectively, but your enemy still has troops, so you're going to have to learn to manage those a bit better with just you on hand. Or actually in this level it's a special sort of target range type thing where you've only got your hero, who does have a bow and arrow himself, so that kind of could be interesting, but I don't know. It's fine, but it just doesn't excite.
Right.
There is a somewhat frustrating urge, as a lot of these mobile-based games have, where it's the urge to get 5 stars on a level is quite strong. If you start, the only way to do that on this is to specifically put the difficulty into hard mode, which gets rid of your aiming reticle, so you're sort of aiming by feel. Which is especially weird if your ballista is off screen because you're having to move the camera to see what you're about to shoot at. You kind of then have to learn at what angle you have to be holding the left stick to right. If I hold it exactly horizontal, that's going to roughly land here. So let's fire that. And okay, now I can do a castle shot. So diagonally up and to the right, we'll probably land a shot on the castle. So you end up playing by feel, which is challenging, to say the least. But when you start getting good at it, it feels kind of cool to land a couple of headshots just by feel. I know I'm going to have to aim it that way. Oh yeah, there are headshots. If your arrow hits, from a ballista hits someone in the head, it basically insta-kills a troop. And you get a little headshot indicator at the top of the screen.
Okay.
And there's a mechanic where if you get a kill streak of 5 people, your ballista basically goes into frenzy mode, which means you don't have to wait for your various shot types to reload. So you basically just set the most castle destructive thing you have on and just keep firing it for a while.
Yeah.
All right, this is good. This gets me ahead a little bit. Production-wise, it probably could do with a bit of work because it has a story campaign which is told entirely in text and bad animations, and which is fine, I suppose, for a mobile-centric game. The fact that it's even there is something. But possibly the most annoying thing is that actually there isn't a great deal of music in the game, and there are moments where I get the tune stuck in my head, but not as a good thing. Normally, I don't know, if you have a song stuck in your head, it probably means there's something about the song that is good. And these are just really somewhat short, repetitive loops in places that just get stuck in your head, and you're like, "Oh no, I'm really done with this. Please get out of my head, please." And there's just not enough of it, and it's all very generic-y, sort of. I don't know. It's weirdly like semi-orchestral, semi-cheesy drum beat, dance beat sort of thing. I don't know. It's a bit odd. It's just not. I guess it's just not top tier. It's just like a sort of casual title. I guess it's fine. Probably get it while it's free if you listen to this entire.
That's what you say about all those games.
Yeah,
It doesn't sound
true.
too bad for a free game, to be honest.
It's okay. That's what I'm saying. It's okay. It's not. It's
Like the last thing you
inoffensive.
played
It's-
was pretty offensive.
It's not Pool Nation. No,
That's what we're saying.
you don't need that. And in fairness, like Pool Nation is still free if you want to put
I don't
yourself
really-
through that hell.
I don't totally understand the temptation of some of these free games. Like, what were those?
Because it's free.
That's the thing. But like for me, it's like, but I'm spending my time.
Yeah.
Isn't that valuable? Couldn't I spend that on something that, because the price ratio, like, compared to like amount of time, like enjoyment for games, a lot of them are pretty good. Like you spend like 30 quid on a game on Steam or something, and you could be there for like 40 hours or something if it's a RPG
Well,
or something.
My
that's
classic rule is the pound per hour ratio. You know.
Pound per hour, yeah, exactly. But then, I don't know. When there's back,
I mean, that's not how you should judge every game, obviously.
No,
but
totally
it's-
not. Yeah,
But you've done all right if you've managed to spend that amount of time. I'm not, in fairness, a good test for that because as we've discussed before, I spend quite a lot of time on games I find quite mediocre.
Yeah,
or generally bad. Like there's a completionist element to me where it's just like, okay, I'm about 50% of the way through Castle Storm, but that means I need to get another 50% of the way through it to get the achievements. Oh no!
No, I just don't have that gene at all. I just like abandon stuff. I don't know. It's bad.
It's like I get it on Steam. Like it didn't used to bother me, but now on Steam, like for some reason, when I visit my profile page and it says, "Oh, you've only got 46% total achievement completion," and it's like, "Oh god damn it! I've got to make sure I get over 46% on any game I play now." So it might go up a little.
You better make sure you buy Dirt Rally once in early access then. Get that achievement.
Oh yeah, of course. God damn it! That's a really stupid thing.
So I looked at the global achievement stats for that at one point, and apparently only 95% of people have that achievement. So about 5% of the people who bought Dirt Rally haven't actually played it.
Yeah. Well, they just bought it because
Well-
it was the cheap price, I guess.
That makes sense, I guess. They'll play it eventually, probably.
They better play it during early access. They
Yeah.
won't get that achievement.
Yeah,
That's true.
They got plenty of time. It's fine.
Yeah, they got nearly a whole year.
Maybe they've just been, reminded by people. Actually, not all the content's there yet. It's like it's a little lacking. Give it a little bit. You'll have a better time if you give it a little while. Maybe. But then it's just the Games of Gold thing has given me some good stuff. Like I 100%ed Rayman. I've done everything in single player there is to do in that game. I loved it. I think it's a fantastic game. Even if the Origins content, as it turns out, isn't active as the stuff I sort of did towards the back end of that game, it just is obviously not as good as the Legends stuff, especially some of the boss stuff. The boss stuff is super tedious, with some occasionally weirdly badly placed checkpoints, which the game is normally pretty good at, but the Origins stuff seems a little bit crap at. There's an obvious difference in the stuff. But you get sort of treated, the last few levels you unlock are kind of 8-bit remixes of the music tracks you played for those music levels. So they're the exact same level, but they're kind of made challenging by making you you have to do the whole level in one go. There's no checkpoints. And they apply all manner of fucked up filters to make it really difficult to see. Like, there's one level that just gets increasingly more pixelated as you get through it, until at the end, Rayman's basically just a yellow square, and you have to try and remember where everything is. There are others that basically like multiply the screens, so you're watching like 8 of yourself play on 8 tiny little screens, or some that basically fisheye lens the entire level and stuff like that. Fisheye lens. Yeah, and it was a pretty good way to end that game, and it's great, and that was free. That was a game of gold. Not anymore, so haha, sorry guys, but if you missed it, but man,
probably buy it anyway because it's good.
it's a fantastic thing. So French. So what shall I talk about next? Next small-ish game, I suppose. I started playing Skullgirls.
Yeah.
What was that again?
It's
a 2D fighting game by. I'm a bit confused about who actually made it because I thought it was Lab Zero, but in the credits they refer to themselves as Reverge. So I don't know. Maybe they changed their name or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's effectively a 2D fighter with hand-drawn boobalicious graphics. It's quite
semi-booby.
It's quite booby.
Maybe 50%.
50% booby. What does that even mean?
Up until they are all women.
Up until the DLC, yeah, they've now added 2 blokes.
But like, some of them are significantly less booby than others.
Sure. It's not like not every character is from Dead or Alive.
No, exactly.
It's basically what's being said here, but it's a little risque in places. Like one of the characters is basically straight up out of a 50s cartoon or whatever.
The best character, clearly.
Peacock is pretty awesome. That has to be said. She's an awkward character to play as, especially in the single player, because she only works well at range. She doesn't really combo very well, but she has a ton of projectile attacks, and some good. And she's the only character that can teleport, for instance, and do stuff like that. So she's an interesting one to play with. But she's a kind of actually, in a weird way, she's sort of like an entry level to what makes Skullgirls special, in that most of the characters are weird in some way. Like none of them are particularly traditional, which is kind of cool because it's like I couldn't go into it and just be like, oh, I'm obviously going to play as this character because it plays the most like Ryu. I had to go into it and think, actually, I've got no bloody idea who I'm going to be good at in this. I mean, the most obvious choice for most people, I guess, would be Philia, who kind of has a parasite in her hair. So she's basically attacks with her hair. But they and this is the other thing you realize, a lot of the characters end up talking to themselves because they have 2 parts to themselves. Like Sophia ends up talking to Samson, who's her hair. So in the middle of a fight, you get 2 different voices coming through a character, like, and then your hair is going, ha, ha, ha. It sounds really weird. Like in the middle of a fight. But yeah, she's a rush down, what they describe as a rush down character. So you're supposed to be moving towards the enemy at all times, and she's got quite a lot of air stuff. Like she can air dash and things like that, which is actually kind of difficult to get grips of if you're mal-coordinated like myself with this sort of thing. But then you've got one character that can take her head off, and her head then can move independently of the rest of her body, so you can set up very strange combos if you're well-timed, and your head just happens to be in the right place. So that's kind of interesting. You've got one character that likes flying around and then prefers to like attack from above. You've got Peacock. You've got Parasol, who is somewhat strange and likes basically setting traps everywhere rather than fighting directly. Again, sort of projectile heavy, but controls very differently. You've got one character that's high on grapples. I suppose that one's not actually so unusual. Grapples. Yeah. There's always a grapple character in every fighter, I suppose. But it's just I played Squiggly for a while, who's effectively a singer, but most of her attacks work best if you charge them up. Like they do a little. Basically, your parasite's like a snake called Leviathan that also comes out of your hair, but then you can use it as a skipping rope at one point to charge up kick attacks, for instance, or you can like. I forget what she does when you do charge up your punch attacks, but yeah, you have to be prepared. Like use your downtime to charge up an attack, and then go in for a combo, and then back out, and then prepare yourself again, and then go in again. And it's that's an interesting one. Big Band, who is probably my favorite character so far, is basically a walking robot one-man band machine that is a giant saxophone, effectively, and when you win, starts saying random sci-fi quotes like "See you later, space cowboy."
Oh,
He's awesome.
classic.
He's my favorite character so far. He's just he's totally weird. Like he'll pull out giant cymbals to attack with them, or trap people in a giant tambourine and then shake it to damage them. Or like one of his most powerful blockbuster attack, they call them, forces you to play a trumpet solo with a specific set of button presses before the thing even activates. Gives you a few seconds to play whatever the hell you want on this trumpet, and then you have to insert a special command during the solo in order to actually make it fire off its final attack.
Okay,
it's awesome.
That's crazy. So what do you have to? Do you have to tap buttons to play a little tune, like as if it's Zelda during the solo or whatever?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, with him, you can hold down medium punch, and normally if you just tap it, he brings up a trumpet just appears out of nowhere and slaps someone around like an uppercut, I guess, just hits them slightly under the chin. But if you hold it down, he keeps that trumpet in place, and then you realize if you push any other button while that trumpet has been held up, it starts playing different notes, and you can change the octave by pushing up and down on the control stick, and certain combinations of buttons will play different notes as well. And it's light punch, down and light kick, light punch, and then light punch and mid punch together, which set goes brr, 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 pretty much.
Okay.
and then it goes into solo mode, and then you can play what you want. And as long as you hit light punch and mid punch during the solo, you'll get a super powerful blockbuster come out, which I think just makes him shout tuba a lot. Tuba, 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 tuba. He's totally funny. It's great. It's a great character, and he's massive as well. He basically fills the screen. So I'm having a real good time playing as him.
Awesome. Sounds like you're enjoying it in general.
It's pretty great. It has to be said. Like it's a traditional 6-button fighter, effectively. So it's so it does share a lot with some of the mechanics that people will be used to from Street Fighter and Killer Instinct, for instance. And I think I can't remember if Mortal Kombat is technically 6-button. It's been a while since I've played it, but and I haven't played X, so who knows? But yeah, so it shares a lot with that. But then likes to mess with it in ways that I find really interesting. But because of that, it's not. I've seen some comments and stuff on Steam saying this isn't it. This is a good way to get into fighting games. I'm not convinced it is because it's so weird.
Okay.
Because there are things about it that are just out there and bonkers. Maybe it's a way of training you to do because it forces you to do these weird mechanics, and perhaps they can be used as tactics for the more traditional games. I don't know. Maybe that's what they mean. But I find it a little bit of a mental challenge to just go from these more traditional fighters into this, where it's just a little bit strange. It requires more from me, I think.
Okay, then if you were just going to a traditional fighting game, or if you were coming from,
Street Fighter's pretty impenetrable to anyone, but
yeah.
It's also one of the games that I think is like the way some of the moves work and stuff. It's somewhat painfully obvious that it would be much, much easier if you played it with a fight stick. There are certain manipulations you have to do on a controller that just feel like, I see why this would work on a fight stick, but on a controller it's a little bit harder to pull off. Stuff like that. But it's cool. I really like it.
It's cool.
But it's cool. I love its art style. I love its semi-jazz sort of feel. They call it dark deco, the art feel to it.
Really cool. That kind of sounds cool.
Yeah, they go for the sort of I want to say like 50s, 60s sort of style, like shows, like theater and bright lights and the announcer guy, like they instead of saying fight or something, they say showtime and stuff like that. It's cool. It's a great. I think it's a pretty neat thing. I guess the one complaint is that the story mode it has, or the arcade mode, always faces you off against the same boss, who actually doesn't handle quite as well as the main character. She doesn't have like elements like hit stun, for instance. So it's a bit of a crapshoot sometimes as to whether you're going to get away with certain attacks. So you can't just wail on her with a combo, for instance. You have to kind of poke at her and manage your blocking, because you take quite a lot of damage from Chip during that fight. So it's difficult to manage, and some characters are much better at that fight than others. They can just deal with, or you can think of ways to manage what's coming at you a lot easier. And some characters just have specials and blockbusters that are totally ineffective against the boss, so you can't even rely on those. So I think the boss is problematic, but that's true of most fighters. I don't really get on with fighting game bosses.
No.
Generally. I mean, it's nice when they're an occasion, I suppose, but it's nice to, I think it's
like Chip.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have boss characters in fighters, but yeah, they should at least abide by more of the rules that you do.
That the rest of the game, yeah.
Yeah. So Skullgirls. I haven't played a great deal of it, but I played 4 or 5 hours of it. So, but I'm gonna do some more. I'm kind of into it. Yeah, I bet what will happen is what usually happens with me in fighting games. I get somewhat competent at them. Competent, not good, just perhaps enough to win a couple of games online every now and then. And then I'll go totally off it, just like I did with Killer Instinct. It's like, not because I think it's bad, but just because I have no desire to play that game again.
Right, suddenly.
It's what happens to me with fighters. It's just I just have a moment where I'm just like, no, I'm done. Maybe it's just the discovery factor. I don't know. Maybe that initial rush of figuring out how the game works and stuff like that, and then once you've figured out the basics, I don't have the patience to figure out more advanced techniques. I don't know. But Skullgirls, check it out.
Skullgirls!
Check it out.
If you have a fighting stick, definitely check it out.
So I'm going to break the order a little bit and go to the biggest of the big news, I suppose, because the other thing I was going to talk about is somewhat a segue to Zach.
Okay.
Somewhat a segue.
Somewhat a segue that we can both talk about. But I've been playing Splatoon!
Splatoon! It has come out!
For all of today. Well, not all of today, but, I got it this morning. So I've not had a great deal of time with it, but...
Initial impressions? Early impressions?
Damn, that's a game!
It's a game!
It's a game! I'm having a great time. I think it's my malcoordination or general retardedness that came from every time I've played the game before and not grasped the control scheme just went.
Right.
I got it. For some reason, this time I picked it up, the controls felt good.
Right.
And I mean, really good. There's something, once it clicks, your ability to just snap to foes and take them down feels so good. The gamepad controls all the way, man. I'm a convert.
Sorry, the gamepad. Oh, using the Wii U
controls,
gamepad.
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So how does it? Do you not get that problem where you're? What problems were we having?
Well, because you sort of end up
looking down all the time.
Yeah, when you've not got used to it, you sort of contort yourself into a position where it's like, well, where do I go from here? And you kind of, if you do end up that twisted or whatever, because you just use the motion controls to aim, then you have to discipline yourself to go back to a comfortable position, press Y, and then you're effectively centered again.
Right.
And then you can go from there. But actually, what you end up learning is to use left and right, tilting on the gamepad incredibly sparingly.
Right. Yeah.
Because the game forces you to look up and down with the gamepad if you've got motion control on. So you're using up and down quite a lot. But up and down is kind of fixed, isn't it? You can't turn all the way around up and down.
No.
So that feels okay. And you end up using the right stick, to use left and right mostly, and using slight left and right jiggles with the gamepad to aim left and right. So I suppose I should recap here. For those living under a rock, Splatoon is a multiplayer shooter, 4-on-4 online battles or as the box says, furious 4-on-4 online battles. And it's made by Nintendo.
Or as the box says, Wilder Online Campfen 4 Gig and 4. If you're really digging Jones.
Well, yeah, because there's like 8 different languages there.
I like the French one, naturally.
Which one's for... Wait, where is it?
The
Oh, yeah.
Although, actually, the other phrase in French is better.
Les matches en ligne is disjoncté 4 contre 4 contre 4. I said 4.
Yep.
4 contre 4.
I said 4 in Jones, didn't I?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Gig and beer. Deux forme. Deux modes d'action. Wait, that's nothing like...
No, that's nothing like the English version, is
The
it?
English version says shift shape, shift gears, and the French obviously means 2 forms, 2 modes of action.
Yes. It's like they couldn't work out how like, that phrase just doesn't work in French, apparently.
Shift shape, shift gears. Yeah, maybe...
Although really, it doesn't work in any of those languages if you even try and look. I mean, the German one is like Gestalt, and that actually does literally translate very well. And Taktik!
What is Gestalt?
You never heard of Gestalt in German?
I mean, I have, but I can't remember at this moment in time.
Well, it's much closer to shape than the French version. Yes. And then some Russian. Good luck reading that.
I cannot read Cyrillic.
What is that?
Apparently, like, Russian is very phonetic, as in, like, if you knew what the letters sounded like.
Yeah, if you knew what all those weird letters actually sounded like, then you'd be able to say it.
Yeah, as in, there's not many tricks to how you pronounce Russian.
It doesn't have Finnish on the box.
That's true.
Or Swedish, or any of the Scandinavian languages.
Equipamiento! And equipamiento! Yeah, so it's a 4-on-4 shooter made by Nintendo. I heard a stat that someone quoted that if you, and I'm going to have to exclude the Wii Fit trainers and the Mii from this for it to be true, but this is the first original set of characters that Nintendo have come up with for 14 years.
Really? What?
That was the stat I heard. I haven't verified this or anything. And as I said, I'm ruling out Wii Fit Trainer but I'm guessing they mean new characters within a new IP, because like Rosalina wasn't 14 years ago, right? Or any of the Koopalings. No. But because you can't even say this is the first new IP Nintendo have put out in 14 years, but I wonder if they were going back to, it's the first time someone's done it since Pikmin or something like that. I don't know. Probably.
How long ago is Pikmin? 14 years? No.
Well, it was GameCube, so
it's probably got to have been 2001, right?
Jesus.
It might well have been. Yeah, might well have been. I would have been 17 when I picked up my GameCube, so I'm guessing 2002. Yeah. 16, 17, yeah.
So how many, is there a nice array of maps? I know you've only been playing it one day, but are you unlocking them, or are they all available, or how does it work?
Here's the thing. It's odd with that stuff. So the game basically just, after you do a little tutorial about how the controls work and stuff, it basically says, go play online now. You're done.
Right.
You're ready. Go for it. You need to play some online. You need to level up before you can get access to some stuff. Which is a little bit of a lie, because you can go into the single player if you want straight from that point. But the game kind of seems to dissuade you from doing it. It's like, just go play online. Go for it. And the way they manage it at the moment is somewhat empty, I suppose. Not in player base. The player base seems fine, but you go to the online mode, and there's basically 3 options presented to you. One of them is regular battle. One of them is join your friends in a regular battle, and the third option is ranked battle, currently unavailable.
Okay.
So you click regular battle, and you see on the left-hand side of the screen maps, and there's 2 listed, and you're like, 2? My understanding was that there's at least 5 in the game, like on launch. And Nintendo have, to their credit, they have said, like, okay, yeah, we know there's not much here, but we've got a summer of updates planned, so we're going going to be adding a ton of stuff to this.
Okay.
Don't panic. Is the message you get out of them? Don't panic. But yeah, so it seems like they basically only put 2 maps up at any one time for regular battle mode, and regular battle is the turf war style game that we've played before,
right?
But where it's about inking the floor effectively, and inking more of it than your opponents. So yeah, it seems like there's only ever 2 maps you can play on the rotation, but this rotation changes every couple of hours maybe. And what will happen when that happens is you'll get cut away, you'll get taken out of your lobby. There'll be a little news broadcast that the game will do in its style, and it'll be like, newsflash, the current map rotation is this. And then it puts you back in the plaza. So it basically kicks you out of the game whenever at the end of your current game.
Right.
You'll get kicked out of lobbies whenever the map rotation changes, because they like presenting all these things in these little cutesy little news broadcasts. It'll be like, oh yeah, this is going on right now. So I guess this is where some of the problems begin. Like, the gameplay is fine. I'm having a great time with it. I think the weapons are fantastic. I think the gameplay is great. I think it looks great. It basically, I think it's probably using the same sort of engine that Mario Kart has been using. It's got that sort of bright sheen to everything.
To it, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic. I think it's great. But where the problems are actually is around the edges of the online stuff. I don't think they've quite learned every lesson that everyone else has over the last millions of years that they've been doing online shooters.
Right, yeah.
Which it might be understandable if this is Ninty's first shot at it.
What sort of thing has gone a bit awry?
So, first weird thing is that once you've decided, and this may be okay, because some games have started doing this to a point, in that when you say, I want to play a battle, there is zero way of backing out of it. Once you've said, I'm going into a game, you're stuck. So even while it's looking for just to connect to the server, you can't cancel out of that process. Once you've entered a sort of queue to get into a lobby, sometimes it will go, stand by, you will join the next available game, and we'll give you a countdown timer until a lobby opens or something. Which actually seems incredibly precise. Like, you don't end up in a lobby until that countdown timer expires, so it's probably entering you into a room where people have left or something, and instead of showing you the game in progress, it's saying, don't worry, you will be in this, but you still can't back out of it at that point. And when you're even in the lobby and it's trying to play a match, you can't back out of that process at all.
Right.
So that's a little odd. You kind of have to commit and be prepared for however long it might take to join you into a game, which is normally very fast, but there has been a couple occasions where it's ballsed up completely and just had me sitting around for like a good 5 minutes before it realized, oh yeah, this isn't working, and dumping you back to a menu.
That's
yeah. It's had a few connectivity problems.
Okay.
I've had a few issues. Nothing terrible, but a few little issues just getting started.
I mean, it is kind of launch of the game, isn't it?
Sure. This is probably the busiest the game is ever going to be right now. And, fair play to them for getting a game that is mostly functional, like out on day 2, I suppose it is.
Yeah.
So, that's okay. That's okay. I don't have too much of a problem with that. But even when you're in the lobby and you're searching, for instance, or even in between games in the same lobby, you've got zero way of changing your equipment. So if you want to change your loadout of a certain from a certain weapon type to a different weapon type, for instance, because your team is currently comprised of people using the paint roller, and you want to perhaps balance the team out a little bit and say, right, no, I'm going to go with the assault rifle style gun. I forget what it's even called. I think it might just be called the splatter gun. Not sure. Can't remember yet. You can't do that. You have to back out of the lobby completely, go back to the plaza, change your equipment from there, and then go back into a lobby, which seems a bit clunky.
It doesn't matter, though, because you're not actually balancing your team in any case, because it's random.
Well, no, yeah, everything is random about it. It's like, it doesn't care, really. Apparently, even if you do the join with friends thing, it just puts you in the same lobby. There's no guarantee you're going to be on the same team.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't do any of that party management stuff. Which, again, I'm kind of okay with. But the thing is it plays very well like that. I mean, there's no voice chat or anything like that in the game at all anyway, so they kind of have to have made it work okay for the solo experience. So some of that stuff I'm not so bothered about, but I would really quite like to be able to change my equipment mid-game without coming all the way out and then risking a connectivity problem going back in.
Yeah.
These little things, basically.
I mean, it's not exactly Halo Master Chief Edition.
Well, at least that works now.
It does now, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, so you could argue that in terms of raw content and the polish, I suppose, to the online experience, or certain aspects to it you might expect, that perhaps Splatoon isn't all that. But the gameplay just is so addicting, and so I don't want to stop. I don't ever want to stop right now.
Well, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Definitely continue to play Splatoon.
Yes, so I will. The only other thing worth talking about at this point, from my experience, is the bit of the single player stuff, which actually, as it turns out, isn't very long. I'm about a third of the way through it already.
Okay,
it's basically 30 challenge levels, which sort of play out a bit like a platformer. You're learning the mechanics of the game, and I did a lot of this first before going online, and I think that's helped. In that you're basically sort of little challenges that sort of go, okay, here's this mechanic in this level, try and get through it with this. Like there's one level entirely based on shooting fans that while they're covered in ink, for instance, sort of like platforms will move to different locations, so you have to use those to your advantage whilst avoiding enemy fire, that kind of stuff. This level is entirely made out of sponge. Well, not entirely, but there are sponges in it that if you fill with ink, they get bigger, so they become more useful platforms. Mm-hmm. Each level kind of has a gimmick that you have to manipulate to your success, and they're okay. It's not the most amazing thing about the game. It's not the most fun thing to do, but there's nothing particularly wrong with them. They're kind of a good way, I think, of honing some skills that you'll probably need.
It's good to have that sort of thing, definitely. It's not like they tacked on like I don't know, bad bots or whatever.
It's got some okay boss fights so far. I've had 2 boss fights in it, and they were kind of interesting.
Cool. That's always good because it's hard to get bosses right. So
yeah, I mean they try and make it so that there's a weak point you have to hit. There are some attacks you have to dodge, but then using the mechanics of the game, perhaps you have to do something a little extra. Like the first boss is effectively a giant cube, a bit like that tries to thwomp you effectively. But when it lands on the ground, you notice that the sides of it can be painted, so you can swim up them and attack an exposed point that appears on its back when it thwomps. And each time you hurt it like that, the panels get either less stuff that you can ink on them, or they start moving, and so the amount of time you have to get up them gets less. So it becomes harder and harder and harder to actually hit the exposed point each time. And that was okay. That's fine. That's exactly what a boss fight should do. It's kind of typical Nintendo way of treating a boss fight, right?
Yeah.
You hit it, it gets harder the next time you try it. Try and do the same thing. And it works. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the formula. I like the music, I like the style, aesthetically it's cool. The one thing I wish it did was have more of an audio presence when you start it up. Because it doesn't even say Splatoon or anything. There isn't really a big sort of song and dance about the title screen. It's just the logo appears and you press some buttons and it's mostly silent. It's I kind of want it to go, whoa, you're in the fucking game. It's kind of the one thing it does wrong. It's in a big way, but
okay. Well,
it doesn't really get you excited when you turn it on. Is what I mean. At least with Halo, you turn it on and you get the Halo monks. Which is who doesn't want the Halo monks?
You always want monks whenever you turn on a video game. Monks is what you're looking for.
Splatoon, Splatoon, Splatoon. Yeah,
that would be how that goes.
It's a good game. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. We'll see. We've got a whole summer of updates to come.
Yeah,
and then we can give it proper judgment, I suppose. I don't think it's Although, you can review it in its current state and stuff, its current state is not going to be how this game ends up, so... I think it's fun right now. It's probably a bit expensive for what it is right now. Hopefully it will be what it's supposed to be in a few months. But I'm still having a great time. Splatoon! So the only other thing left to talk about is that Zach and I started playing Halo 2.
Oh, yeah, I guess we did.
On the Master Chief Collection. The anniversary-fied version. I think they've done a much better job with this remaster than they did with the Halo 1 one.
Well, it's because it's actually different in quite a lot of ways.
Well, I mean... well, sure, the cutscenes, they've redone the cutscenes.
I mean, like, all the sound mix and stuff.
Yeah, the sound mix is completely redone. And done pretty well, has to be said.
Cool.
And I think even the visual overhaul, they've done a lot closer to what was intended in Halo 2. So, we'd had some problems with how Halo 1's remaster might have changed a little too much in places.
Yeah, definitely.
Although the invisible guys in Halo 2 are still incredibly invisible.
Sure.
That still hasn't changed.
No, you still have to watch for the slight glow on their plasma rifle to hover around in front of you. But there are more. I think it looks more like Halo 2 should look, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They haven't randomly changed something that was a boring grey texture to be all fancy.
No, I mean they've done some stuff where it's obvious. Oh, this wall was supposed to have flyers on it, for instance, on Earth, but they couldn't render it properly back then. So it's just
at the time,
like grey squares where stuff would be. But now they have stuff on them, for instance, because they can render it with enough texture detail. Yeah, it sounds good. I think the new sound design, although quite different in places, like certain alarms sound more dramatic than they did before. I think the new sound design is a general improvement over what it used to be. There's some neat effects. Visuals are great. I mean, they're not as good as the console can do. We've seen better out of it, but it's a pretty nice overhaul.
For what it's quite an old game now.
Yeah, I mean, in 2-player, it doesn't run perfectly, has to be said. It's got some, it doesn't run at 60 the whole time. It can't.
Right.
Just doesn't manage, but it's still fine. There's nothing
it's trying,
wrong
though.
with it.
It's not locked to 30 or something.
No, it's not. No, it definitely tries. It's plus 30 most of the time. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I think it's really good. I think I'm having more fun with it than we were with Halo 1.
Well, it's because we haven't played Halo 2 for ages.
No, that's true. We haven't gone back to Halo 2 for God knows how long. So
did you get through frickin' Cairo Station?
Surprisingly easily.
Yeah, we did all right. The second
level was much harder.
Yeah, it was much longer as well, man.
Well, basically, Cairo Station we thought it was going to be hard, and there was at least one bit.
There's one room in Cairo Station we had a real problem with.
We could have done better on that in some ways if we'd only worked out we worked out eventually you could go up to the high up platform, and then if we split up it made on one high, one low, and then there's that back corridor and stuff.
Yeah. You can apply distraction tactics, and because there's extra ammo in that other corridor that helps ranged.
Once we worked that one room out, it wasn't.
And in fairness, the time we actually managed to beat it was when I just grenade spammed it for
Well, I've always been trying to grenade spam it, but I'm not very good at throwing grenades in that game somehow. I was always get it wrong. But then, so the actual hard part was as soon as you get to the snipers on the second mission, they're just insanely accurate. You pop out for a second and you just die.
I'd forgotten how bad they were, because I'd done that level before in Legendary. Cairo was the one I could never do in Legendary. Maybe in solo it is impossible, I don't know. Maybe the fact we did it in 2-player, it was much easier.
Yeah.
But I've managed to get through, I don't even know the name of the level, but the first Earth level in Legendary before, and I'd forgotten just how unbelievably ruthless those snipers are. You just stand in the open for a split second and your head's gone.
Yeah.
And that was long.
That's
that was a bloody long level.
You have that huge cutscene, and there's a huge battle, and then you get out of your dropship, and then your head gets shot off almost immediately, right? You go down a corridor.
Crash the dropship at the start of that one.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Scarab shoots you out of the air.
You always crash in Halo. Everyone always crashes.
Yeah. Except weirdly, in this particular crash, no one dies. Well, the pilots die, apparently.
Always.
But all the Marines are fine.
Standard.
Yeah. And we've only played the first half of that sequence, so that ends where Johnson goes, "Oh, I know what the lady's like."
Which was weird,
And you
because
get,
it was
the
like the
tank
score counters. It has little blocks that show
what section you've done.
sort of, yeah. It doesn't really tie to the checkpoints or anything, because obviously the checkpoints are a bit more...
Yeah, checkpoints in
liberal.
checkpoints in Halo 2 are more where they started introducing, but effectively time-based checkpoints. So if you get a moment of downtime,
Yeah.
Right.
it tries to checkpoint you then, rather Halo 1, which is more location-based.
But yeah, so it has all the little blocks on the score counter that show you approximately how far through the level you are. And that level just randomly ended when there was 3 blocks left with that sequence of Johnson delivering the tank. And I was like, that's not where that level ends, is it?
Unless there were 3 fights we didn't trigger or something. Like,
I don't know, we couldn't have not triggered anything, because we do the ridiculous drive that goes through that insanely long tunnel segment before that.
The tunnel is probably the... I mean, Halo 2 does a much better job, and we've talked about this before, like, it does a much better job of not repeating things.
Yeah.
Like Halo 1 does, and it's much, much better for it. But that tunnel section's a bit long.
Well, it's long.
It's when you're
you
driving,
don't really
like...
do that much,
No,
it?
it's when you're driving down the long bits and you're just driving alongside the transports and shooting them because you can. You know, you don't have to, really. You just have to take out the gunner and then go, yeah, screw you, I'm going to carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Oh, there's some neat little effects. Like, I couldn't help. I noticed it halfway through we were playing it, but like, Zach was carrying a plasma pistol in one hand and a plasma rifle in the other, and he charged up the pistol in his left hand, and the green glow was sort of shimmering off the plasma rifle in his right hand, and it just looked really cool. Just like the way the lighting was done on the guns in your hand was neat. You know, it just it was noticeably nice.
Awesome.
It's a cool thing. It's a cool thing.
So definitely a better job than the Halo 1.
I think so.
Remaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far it feels well. You know, and those new cutscenes are very well done. As it turns out.
Have you got to the sort of Arbiter stuff yet, or?
No, we've got one more mission to do, and then we start doing the heretic stuff.
Right. Cool.
You know, we've got to take down the Scarab first.
We've got to drive a tank.
Oh yeah, that bit is so, like, compared to the Scarabs in Halo 3, obviously it's so limited, having it just sort of go down a corridor.
It sort of stops, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you can jump on it.
I wonder if they've made it look like the Scarab from Halo 3 or whatever a bit more. Unified it a bit, because they didn't look that similar, really, I don't think.
I really can't remember. No. Cool. There's one thing that they've changed in the cutscenes that is better. They've actually modified the timing and stuff, because I guess they've FMV'd it all, like, now. They've actually sort of modified them slightly so they play out more cinematically than they did before. There's certain little improvements, like when the Pelican gets shot down by the Scarab, for instance, they make much bigger deal of that thing crashing, whereas in the original one it just sort of goes fud. It's a good job. It's a good job. And that's where I hand over to Zach. All right, good. We'll catch you next week.
Zach, what have you been playing?
Well, we can start with my smallest thing, which was I saw it just randomly when I was looking at my phone. I saw that finally out on Windows Phone after a very, very long time, Crossy Road.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, I heard everyone talking about this shit when it was on the iPhone, so I suppose I should look at it now. Once I also determined that it was actually the real thing, and not just a knockoff, which is what you get all in the Windows Phone.
Yeah, tell us about the Windows Store.
Oh man, it's fucked. I was looking at it last week when I was here, and I was showing Rob the various...
You were like, oh hey, look what's just been released on the Windows Store, and it's like, that's Pokemon.
Yeah. Apparently what the Windows Store is currently having released on it is a bunch of emulated shit. So there was like Pokemon, which was on a DS emulator. No, not a DS, a GBA
emulator.
There was Crash Bandicoot on a PlayStation emulator.
Yeah.
And there was like, I think there was some Sonic game on like a Mega Drive emulator or whatever. It's just like, apparently that's just what they did, what the bastards are doing at the moment. It's just like, someone's made emulators that work on, I guess, Android and then ported it to Windows.
Were they charging for this? Or were
No,
they
those
free?
ones are in the free section.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm sure
That would be really, I mean, even more evil than it currently probably is from
Yeah.
a business perspective.
But yeah.
Microsoft really don't care, do they?
No, apparently.
I think I did read, like, in the last week or so, that Microsoft have said, yeah, we're going to, like, do something about this when Windows 10 comes about.
Great. So yeah, I looked across the road and discovered that was actually the real thing, and then I was like, okay, I better look at this. And I don't see what everyone was shitting themselves about for that game. It's not that impressive.
Yeah, it's Frogger, right? It's just,
It's like Endless Frogger, and that's it.
but it's a good look to it, and, you know, it sounds nice, and
Well-
the characters making funny noises, like, especially when you get the penguin.
Well, it's
Or
like,
the duck. The duck's cool.
if you say it sounds nice, it's like there's not really any sound to it.
Well, no, I
It's
think
like
that's,
the faint sound of cars going.
yeah, the sort of atmospherics of it are quite nice. I don't know.
And then,
The fact that there's no annoying music.
I don't know, I think it could have used some kind of music.
So it's a dangerous strategy with mobile games because not everyone can have the theme tune to Jetpack Joyride.
No, that's true. They could have given you the option to mute it though, or whatever. I mean,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and like one of the characters that I didn't actually unlock, but like after you play it a certain amount of time, it's like try out these characters, and then obviously it's like maybe you want to buy this character now, which of course you don't. Fuck that.
No, it's a little pushy with some of that stuff, but you can just ignore it.
Well, yeah. It's not too bad. I mean, it's just like at
No,
the end,
I've
at the end
seen
of every
my-
run, it's like here's one of the characters you could buy if you
Yeah.
wanted.
I've seen it much worse than that.
But then, so
And
one,
occasionally it'll give you like a little preview. It's like,
Well, yeah,
hey, you
but-
can play with this character for a few rounds.
one
and
of
then they'll ask you to buy it.
one of the characters that I trialed was a Scottish bagpiper. And actually, the whole time it's as you're travelling along, it's like that's kind of annoying.
That's quite funny though. The thing is that those characters like that always work better as the jokes when you get the preview of them, don't they? It's
Yeah.
like, it's just like, oh, okay, I see what you did there. Now I don't have to do that again.
Because it's like most of the, like I think
Because the game doesn't change with the characters.
no,
No.
well, sometimes the like theme of the level
The
sort of
visuals
changes.
will
Like the
change.
Scottish bagpiper dude is like what I consider the England theme, where like it gets dark and rainy, and like sometimes double-decker buses.
Oh, really? Okay. I haven't seen that one. I know the penguin makes it snowy.
Yeah, and then
Um,
like I've got a
the Frankenstein makes everything look old filmy.
yeah, and I've got a cockatoo and a drop bear that makes it look Australian.
It's a drop bear.
It's a Terry Pratchett reference.
Okay.
In the Discworld version of Australia, drop bears
Drop
they
bears.
drop on you.
So they're like
They're like koalas, apart from they're
bombing
deadly because
koalas.
they jump on your head from trees.
okay, that's awesome.
And that was literally how I unlocked that. There was just like, I saw a coin, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get that coin. And I moved on to it, but it was next to a tree, and there was a random drop bear in the tree, and it jumped on my character and killed me in that run. And then it unlocked. And I was like, oh.
Oh, that's awesome. So they must have added that since I was playing it because of.
Well, or you just never saw it, because it was just like a random event.
I guess, but yeah, but it must have been added because of the unfortunate Pratchett
Maybe.
removal.
I don't know. Because there was another one of the random characters
removal.
God damn. Another one of the random characters I unlocked was I think I was playing as the school girl, which was just like the England theme again
Okay,
for some reason. But like
not Japanese. Then.
no, but like I got to this certain part of the level where there was just an open field, and I could hear a telephone ringing. And as you move into the middle of there's just like coins around. So it's like, oh, bonus! So I was collecting these coins, but there's just like a random telephone booth in the middle of the field, and it was ringing. And then as you move up to it, it just like goes to like a hang up tone or whatever, like off the hook or whatever you call that sound.
Beep, 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 beep.
And then I was like, well, that's weird. And then I carried on. And then there was another one. And I was like, okay, that's still weird, but that's just the same. It was just like it spawned the same level twice or something. And then when I eventually died at the end of that run, it was like, and now at the end of this run, you've unlocked the phone booth. So you just play as a phone booth, going ding, ding, ding along the ground. It's like, okay.
So that I like this random crap about. I haven't really come across any of that. Like I've just been like coming across like characters, or presents that unlock stuff.
Yeah, I think the problem is there's not actually very much of that cool stuff. There's like a bunch of characters that aren't interesting. Like, oh, here's a dog, here's a cat, here's a duck.
Yeah,
they don't really do anything apart from making the various animal noises as you jiggle them around.
There's nothing wrong with the duck.
I've only got the baby duck, which I guess is probably exactly the same sound effect. I haven't unlocked the actual
maybe
duck.
It's pitched up. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like... I mean, the ducklings don't really make duck noises. They make different duck noises. They make high-pitched, cheepy duck noises.
Cheepy. Peep.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't. The cockatoo is extremely annoying. I wouldn't have said that was a cockatoo noise, but I guess I haven't really heard...
constantly...
It's basically like... all the time.
It's a pig, then.
Well, apart from louder and more annoying.
I think I've got the pig.
So yeah, there's that. I played some of that. There's not much to it.
No.
It's like, I don't know what everyone was so fucking obsessed about it.
It's just a good Frogger, is what's to be said. Like someone made a free-to-play Frogger and did it justice without it being Frogger.
Yeah. So there's that. I played quite a bit of Minecraft because I don't remember why I came back to it again. I don't remember what triggered it in the classic way, but I wanted to play like one of the random. I remembered a mod that I played before, and I was like, I want to play that again. So I tried to go. I have like the multi-Minecraft installer thing, which lets you manage multiple copies of Minecraft and lets you like install old versions of Minecraft, so you can install old versions of mods and stuff. It's all integrated into this launcher program, so you can edit and copy instances of Minecraft around and fuck with them and all that kind of stuff.
Which is pretty neat.
Which is pretty neat. So I was trying to use that to install this old version of Minecraft and some old mods that I knew about, and I couldn't get it to work because I had older versions of those mods stored, and I was like, well, I don't want to just copy that, and I wanted a different sort of set of mods than the ones I'd used before, and I was trying to copy the mods out of the old mod folders and stack them into this new copy. And I couldn't get it to work, and I was just like, this shouldn't be difficult. It's actually a really easy program to use. I can't work out why this is working. So in the end, I just said, fuck it, and installed the latest version of these mods. I don't think any of the major mods that are still around for Minecraft have updated to the most recent version of Minecraft yet. Apparently 1.8 did something that makes it quite difficult for the mods to update to.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. But none of the major mods have updated to 1.8 yet, so they're all still on 1.7.10. So yeah, I went to that, and I was like, okay, here's some of the old mods that I remember. Let's see what their modern, like the new versions are like. And actually, some of them have got actually pretty cool things now. It's actually kind of ridiculous when I was thinking about it, like how complicated some of the stuff that they do now is. Because it's like, if you think about like base Minecraft, there's a lot. It's like you're placing blocks basically, and it's a block, and it's just a block. And very rarely in Minecraft did things have like more complicated interactions. Because there's like the enchanting table where it's like if you put bookcases around it, that increases the level of enchantments you can do.
Is that base?
That's base Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
So that's like the sort of complicated level of base Minecraft. But like the mods that get more advanced have quite a lot of them. In fact, now have the concept of multi-block structures, where it's like you craft a certain kind of block, use that block to build a multi-block arrangement of blocks, and then it registers that as a single thing. And so it's like you can build one big object out of a bunch of blocks, and then it converts.
So you still effectively building it yourself, but it knows that shape means this thing.
Yeah. So there's like you can one of the mods I was playing. Well, actually, not
That's
even.
actually a better way of doing like in-world crafting in a way.
Yeah. It's like not this time, but the previous time I was playing Minecraft, I was playing the weird magic mod where you build like a pedestal and like you build this sort of magic circle.
Oh yeah,
with a bunch of pedestals.
Yeah,
that's quite advanced. So yeah, so I installed the first time I tried doing this. I installed Industrial Craft again, which is like a sort of electricity-based mod, basically, where it replaces most of the basic machines with electrical versions, like the furnace or whatever. And you get the electrical furnace, and you're all running off power. So you've got like wind generators and solar panels and all that kind of stuff. And then like more advanced machines for like multiplying your ore output, and then eventually the end goal of that, as it stands at the moment, is like nuclear reactors to make a ridiculous amount of power, and then like matter generation, because you're making so much energy you convert it back into matter or whatever.
Okay.
So I was playing that for a while, but then I realized that like as it stands now in the version of the current version of it, it's still sort of in the middle of a rebuild. So some of the features that I remember are sort of like turned off, basically. So at the moment it kind of makes it sort of... Basically the main one is that in the older version it had the concept of like voltage on your power cables.
Oh, wow.
So you had like transformers to step up and step down.
So,
And if you sent the wrong voltage into a cable, it just like made shit explode or frayed all the cables. And that kind of stuff.
That's kind of awesome.
But apparently in the current version that's turned off because he was trying to rebuild the whole power system into like a new...
Oh god.
I'm not done yet. Into like a new setup. So once I realised that, I was like, oh, that's why none of my machine... That's why I can like power this machine with way too much power and it doesn't seem to do anything. It should have exploded, but it doesn't because he hasn't reprogrammed that yet.
It's just on.
Yeah, it's just not in there. And then when I realised that, I was like, well, I don't want to play this any longer because that's like easy mode now.
Right. I'm done with
You
it.
don't have to think about it. You don't have to plan.
Well, I'm remembering
Yeah.
because I haven't told you about this yet.
Yeah.
'Cause I forgot to. Dan mentioned to me that the Happy Salad feedback form actually received something
Okay.
directed at you
Okay.
regarding your Starbound modding efforts,
Okay.
saying, "Come the fuck on." We want to see more of this.
Find it for you. I need to
Yeah,
like.
please
forward it
do.
to you.
Correspondence.
What is your email? Anyway, okay. Question: Isn't quote unquote Zeg the one on your team who used to play Starbound? I asked
You
because
see? Yeah.
I was looking at the rock scanner mod for Starbound and it looked very useful. Sadly, it was too
damn it.
outdated to use.
I
Starbound
knew
is something
it'd
very
be the
proper.
rock scanner.
Zeg is the author, and I saw that he listed happysalad.net as his homepage. A fan could probably update it to work with the latest. However, the mod permissions prevent this. Mod assets permissions. You must get the
I'm pretty
author's consent before altering, redistributing any assets included.
I'm pretty sure I turned that off for that one specifically.
Apparently
Because someone
not.
else asked about that. Well,
The
never mind.
Play
revisit
Starbound
it and
forum
unlock it.
software may not allow modders to change their permissions, but would Zeg consider adding a discussions tab for his mod and posting there to give others permission to at least
I
update
thought-
the mod to make it work
Okay.
again? Please.
Okay, I'm pretty sure every mod page automatically gets a discussion page.
Okay.
So maybe he did see that one.
Well,
And-
maybe posted there or something.
Well, I'm pretty sure I did post in the one on the rock scanner specifically because someone was having problems with
Okay.
it.
So they want the rock scanner.
God damn it, that rock scanner. It's such a horrible hag.
You see, this is how developers feel about quite a large percentage
Everything.
of their work.
Yeah.
The trouble is, like, as a concept, the rock scanner is like, it made perfect sense, and it's like, it's obviously a useful tool, and it's like, why has no one else put this in the fucking game yet? Like the actual developers, for example.
Yeah.
Or any other modder, apparently, because apparently my one's the only one that exists and everyone wants it. And it's just like, someone who actually knows how to program better could do it way better than the shitty way I've done it. Or especially in like a much cooler way than I've done it. Because the way I did it was like, it's meant to do like a rotating scan. Like it rotates the beams and the beams illuminate the rock. But I couldn't be bothered to work out the programming to make it scan in an actual circle. because I was like, oh fuck, but I'd have to use like fucking trigonometry or some shit.
Yes, you would.
So I just made it basically scan in a square, so it increments the x value until it reaches the edge of a square, and then increments the y value. So when you're looking at the middle of the screen, it looks like it's scanning in a circle, but it's actually scanning on the square, so the edges, so like it's not a constant rate of turn.
So you could be bothered to break out like sine and
yeah, I couldn't bother to actually do proper maths.
Wow. You did like A level further maths with me, and chemical engineering degree, and you're like, oh,
yes, I know. And the other reason that my method sucks is because it does that like square based scanning. It hits the same squares multiple times because when it's like close to the middle, the line that it's drawing is incrementing less, so it's hitting more of the same squares over and over.
Yeah.
So I had to like write a dumb bit of code where it's like, if it's recently scanned this square, don't run the code that scans the square again, so it doesn't over-generate the particles and lag the game to shit.
I've written stuff like that before for various bits of UI I've worked on. It's actually, strangely common. Like, don't do this again. I remember back in my VBA days, I wrote this was before I had a programming job. I made an extreme Excel macro, effectively, that did a whole lot of work for us.
Right.
Programmatically. Abusing Excel, effectively. But, like, because it took a while to run, I put a progress bar on it.
Yeah.
But I then noticed that this progress bar that I added made everything run a lot slower. And it's like...
So it was updating the progress bar too much.
Effectively, yeah. Because it was dealing with, like, tens of thousands of rows... And this progress bar was like 100 pixels long or something. Or a couple hundred, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was effectively doing the paint to update the graphic every time a single record was added. Despite the fact it would take like 1,000 records to move the thing by like a pixel. So I had to come up with okay, what was the last pixel value I used? Does the new math have a different value? Oh, yes, it does. Now repaint.
Yes.
And then it performed like it should. It's little things like that. I guess it's quite easy to screw up. Stuff like that. I reckon that must be a relatively common problem.
Yeah, I would have thought so. For a progress bar, especially.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Progress bars are always ridiculous.
But a lot of them, like...
are fake.
Are either fake or they use some kind of asynchronous polling technique, so they only ask how far have you got every second or something like that.
So anyway, Minecraft, I guess.
Yeah, sorry.
After we got distracted by Starbound, it's sort of the same. Yeah. So yeah, after I discovered Industrial Craft was still in a work in progress and didn't really work that well, I was like, well, fuck this, I want to fight. So I went and basically found another mod. This one was one that I hadn't played before, but it's very sort of similar to Industrial Craft, except this one is maybe even cooler because it sort of unifies a lot of systems. It has this... Actually, this is sort of an overarching thing in Minecraft mods, that a lot of them have started semi-collaborating into this sort of overarching Forge thing that they have now. It's just called Forge, I think, where it's basically like it has a sort of dictionary of terms. So if your mod uses a resource that another mod uses, as long as it's called the same thing in the Forge dictionary, then those resources become like interoperable between the mods. So it doesn't like create the same resource multiple times. Mm. So just like copper or whatever.
Yeah.
If you've added copper in one mod, then it will work in any other mod that also uses the Forge dictionary copper entry.
So it's just kind of a way of making sure people don't duplicate effort.
Yeah. Well, sort of. I mean, it's not exactly... You're not trading your programming exactly. It's just like a tag, I guess, on like a resource to make sure that if one mod uses the same thing... It's mainly for like world gem, particularly in terms of like ores. Because otherwise you generate like copper ore, and then another type of copper ore, and then another type of copper ore, except it's all copper ore.
Right. But then... Depending on how that's... for world gen, sure, that's fine. But, like, things that may have mechanical differences, like if someone's managed to add a material, for instance, then surely they need to be a lot more careful with that.
Well...
Than just saying, well, if someone's created something called unobtainium, and, someone else has come up with unobtainium...
Well, I mean, then it's it's a compatibility thing, not necessarily like a balance thing, because you could have something like some material that you've added that also is added in another mod, but it functions like dramatically differently or in a completely differently balanced way between the two mods. Like it might be a low grade thing in this mod and a high grade thing in this other
sure, but
mod.
that's just like at that point that's a number of the same thing, right? That's actually relative.
No, because it will probably still only use one of each of them. It's not balancing it, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
it's making it so it works, but it's not balancing it between the different mods. It's just making it so it's not.
Sure. No, I get that. But then in terms of, that's not really, I suppose you're right. That's not really mechanically different in terms of this same item will affect this other thing differently. It's not like the copper, in that particular case, the copper itself has a world effect. It's a craft effect, which is actually is fine, right? It's not like you're wiring.
Well, but then that's sort of the other thing that this mod I've been playing has, is it has, like how Buildcraft has its tubes and all that, the pipes. A lot of the mods have various versions of energy, like the Buildcraft power pipes, and then you've got like the Industrial Craft actual electricity cables, and then there's various other ones. Well, this mod that I'm playing at the moment has like this thing called universal energy cables, and those are sort of specifically programmed to be able to attach into different energy networks. So like they'll work with the Buildcraft energy system and power machines that would normally run on the Buildcraft energy.
Okay.
So I think that might have been another thing that's in the Forge dictionary, is just like the energy of a system. So you can use different cables to power the same things.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty nice. And then this mod is like Industrial Craft. It has like a variety of machines, and then you can multiply your ore output or whatever by running it through a bunch of processors. Although this mod goes into some fairly complicated processes where you have to like build a chain of machines, where it's like, I've made it to like the third tier of this, where it's like you put the ore into a purification chamber, and then that needs oxygen that you have to use an electrolyzer to separate oxygen and hydrogen, and then like you can burn the hydrogen to get energy, and then the oxygen goes to the purification chamber, and then that makes ore chunks, and then the ore chunks have to get crushed, and then the crushed ores goes into the purification thing, and then it turns it into dust, and then the dust gets smelted, and then you get ore. Then you actually get the ingots, but you get 3 times as much because you've run it through this processing chain.
Presumably, because of the way it works, you could run your ingots back through it and just keep tripling.
It's one way.
Okay.
The ingots are different from the ore.
Okay. They did actually model it differently.
Yeah.
It's just like when you said tripling it, it's just like, oh, okay, 3 times the stuff. It's like,
you get 3 times the stuff once.
Yeah.
Just keep running it through. So yeah, I've been doing that. But then that mod updated, and well, I don't know if it was the most recent update that did it, but it somehow broke one of the machines where it like no longer accepts inputs.
Oh, weird.
I mean, you can manually put the stuff in there, but none of the automated pipes or whatever will recognise the machine as an input, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point. You're meant to build a huge machine of chains and then basically have one chest at the start where you shovel the ore, and one chest at the end where you get all the ingots.
Yeah.
And don't worry about them in the middle.
Just sort of say go. Well, presumably you still have to feed it oxygen and stuff.
Well, you don't have to. You have to build a system to feed it oxygen.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, there's that. That's Minecraft. And then the last thing to talk about, which is also the segue into Dan's very tiny segment at the end of the show, as always, Dirt Rally.
Yeah.
I played it, and I know Dan played it because I saw the achievements.
Stop it. Well, I like the compare with friends where you hit Y and then I can see that I was 5 seconds faster than you. That's always good.
Well, it's because the trouble with that is that like it only compares it by vehicle.
Oh,
obviously.
Yeah. I think we happened to buy the same Lancia or whatever.
Well, yeah. And I sucked with the Lancia.
That Lancia's a bitch. I hate that car.
That Lancia is... I much prefer the Mini, and it's like...
Yeah, me too. That's mainly what I wanted to talk about, was bitch about the Lancia. I'm getting used to it now, but at first, especially because it started me on Greece, which is like the most
slipperiest.
Yeah, so I just span around every single hairpin, no matter how much opposite lock I applied. I just went around about 5 times until I realised I needed to shorten the gear ratios. That seems to help.
The Lancia is just like so fat compared to the Mini.
It's fat,
got, like,
yeah.
It's got like no power, and it's like if you're going uphill in those grease stages, it's like barely gets up there.
It's weird. I was playing. I didn't talk about it, but I played a little bit of Dirt 3.
Yeah,
and I get that. I'm enjoying that game a lot less towards the end of it. It's like I don't know. It's silly.
Yeah.
But I was having difficulty with one of the stages for some reason. Like I've been not having too bad a time on difficulty 5 out of 6. And I was driving this one stage and I was having a real hard time. And Dome basically said, "Is it because you're in a Lancia?" It was a Delta.
Well, the Delta should be fine, right?
Yeah, the Delta's good. It's not this
Delta's a
freaking
classic.
Stratos thing. It's insane.
Oh, yeah. But it's just the fact that she said that, like, totally out of the blue, without the context of this conversation that we've had. It's just like, is it because you're in a Lancia?
So, yeah, I played some of that. I did the fucking monthly challenge before it expired at the end of the month, conveniently, which was nice. I guess I haven't seen what my reward from that is. The weird thing I didn't realise until I actually went back and looked at the scores, because normally I only do the daily, and I've done the weekly a couple of times, but I haven't paid that much attention. But if you go back into your score, like after you've finished the run and look at the like leaderboard or whatever, you can scroll down the list of stages and it shows your time on each individual stage. But it also shows like the tiers, like the top tier and the mid tier and the low tier or whatever. But it seems to show the tiers of like your total time up to that point. So as I scroll down this list, it's like sometimes I'm in the top tier and sometimes I'm in the bottom tier because I've had like a better or worse stage and it's added on to my total time. And I'm like, so what's my actual overall tier? Is it the one at the bottom? Because then I'm in the bottom tier. Although, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm in the bottom tier because fuck that goddamn monthly challenge was a bitch. Because it's like, you have to do 24 goddamn stages. You get a service area every 2 stages still, that's fine. But
Do you have to play it one go, or can you like come
you
back
can
to
save, yeah.
Okay.
But the trouble is, like, what a service area every 2 stages isn't actually enough. As soon as you take one major hit, you're basically always going to be like falling behind in your repairs.
Yeah.
So it just compounds itself over time until like at the end I was completely fucked.
That's rally.
It was pretty ridiculous though, because it's like,
I suppose normally a rally isn't 24 stages.
well, it also didn't help that it's Group B as well. So
Oh man.
I was having to drive my ridiculous Group B car, and like, so
Which one did you buy for Group B?
I bought the one that there's an achievement tied to. So
Which one's that?
there's an achievement tied to fully upgrading the Peugeot 205 or whatever it is.
Oh, right.
So I was like, well, I better
I
get
should
that
just
one
buy
then.
the same cars as you just so that I can compare my time.
Compared to times, yeah, I guess. So I did that, and it was just like, I took one fairly bad hit early on that fucked up my radiator, and then my radiator was basically fucked the entire rest, because it was like every service area I'd repair it up to like 87% or somewhere around 90%, and then I'd still manage to take one slightly too much hit and it would push it back down again into the... And the trouble with that is once you get below like 80% on your radiator, the radiator warning light comes on, and then that is actually starting to do damage to your engine.
Oh right.
And I'm like, fuck. So my engine damage light started coming on, and I was like, well, now I'm having to repair my engine every stage. So eventually I was just like, there was also a stage where I lost 2 tyres. I lost both my left-hand wheels, which made it very fucking difficult to drive.
Yeah.
Although weirdly, I couldn't work out why it was. I think it might be something to do with my differential setup in that car, because I was mostly just leaving it on default. But if you lose like a front tire, that's actually fine. It barely impacts it at all. But if you lose a rear tire, it's fucking impossible to drive. And I couldn't quite work out why, because it's a 4-wheel drive car.
Yeah, I guess.
And you think like losing one that has more impact on your steering would make it much worse.
Yeah.
But apparently not. It might have just been my differential
especially if you lost
setting.
the left and you're trying to turn right, for instance.
Yeah. I think it might just be the differential setting for that one by default is like fully strong rear diff and really soft front diff. So it might just be because of that. Like if you lose a rear tire and you've got strong rear diff, it fucks up the grip a lot more.
Maybe, yeah.
Or whatever. So there was that. I lost 2 tires on that one stage, crawled through it. But so then by the end, because I was having to spend all my time repairing like my engine and my radiator, I'd basically been totally ignoring the turbo. And it got to the point at the end where I think I had like a turbo leak because my car was hissing constantly as I was driving along. And then the co-driver was like, "Are we down on power?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that must be the turbo." The turbo actually got fucked up enough that you could hear it, which was
That's
interesting.
pretty impressive that detail is there, though. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I hadn't actually seen any of the real major damage. I'd seen like smoking radiator on like mid radiator damage and.
I'm not having that much trouble with damage at the moment. Really.
Well, you're in such a slow car, though.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
You're not really crashing very badly. You're sliding off, but you're not going very fast.
Yeah,
that's
true.
on this, don't I? This all sounds great.
Yes.
Like, there's something to be said, like, not for pretty much any other reason than the fact that the structure of the game and the commit to the run thing creates these stories.
Yeah.
It's not like, the previous Dirt games would just be like, well, I just restarted the challenge, still I won.
Yeah, exactly. And I've promoted to master level. I'm at the maximum rank now. Maximum level. I came third in the Elite Championship, naturally, again. Mainly only thanks
not
to...
fifth this time. Then.
Well, no, it's like I come like 4th or 5th, but my points total is enough to get me third because the computer players do bad. Like one guy in this one, I mean, he was Greek. Or his nationality was Greek. He came like 14th on the first rally, 5th on the second rally, and then first on Greece.
No.
I was like, oh well, I guess that makes sense. But that because of the vast points difference, that made it quite easy for me to stay in third place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got into Masters. But most importantly, that I should really have mentioned first, Pikes Peak came out.
Oh, did it?
That was why I was playing it again.
I haven't tried it yet. What's it like?
I only did one run on the full tarmac version rather than because I was like, if I'm going to have to drive this thing with no pace notes, I probably want to be able to have as much grip as possible. Learn the course slightly, so I did the full run on the tarmac mode. And that's
so wait, so it's the same course with and without tarmac, or
it's the tarmac or the mixed version because the mixed version is how it used to be, but now modern version they've actually fully paved it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So I played the full run, and it's basically a goddamn 12-minute run.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you can break it up into like there's three different stages is the short versions, like the lower, middle, and upper sections. But then you could just do the whole thing and have like a 12-minute.
I'm trying to think what game it was I played that actually tried to do the full 12-minute recreation of the actual Pikes Peak route before.
Yeah.
I want to know. A bit in my head is saying, was it Rally Sport Challenge 2?
Yeah, it might have been because I remember playing it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Pikes Peak is quite ridiculous, and those cars are. Despite the fact that they've got the giant spoilers and everything, they're like specifically designed for this one purpose, they're still fucking difficult to drive. You don't stay on the road very easily. And of course you don't have any pace notes. So you're like, you haven't.
So how does it map? Or
no, it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
It's just like fuck you go.
Wow.
try and remember where the bad corners are.
That's cool.
And it's actually weird because like I started to like drive in this weird way where, well, I guess it's not actually weird. I started to actually learn to use analog throttle and brake. It's like, because I didn't know what was ahead, I was like, this looks like this corner might turn bad in a minute, so I'm going to hold at like 50% throttle and just gradually accelerate in case I have to brake suddenly.
Ever off.
And also because I'm now playing with ABS turned off, the brakes on those things lock the wheels immediately if you go down hard on them. So I was having to be like really careful with the braking.
So you've swapped the controller then?
Well, yeah. I probably wouldn't have done if I had, but it seemed like a better idea. I haven't dug my wheel out of the attic yet to give that a go.
Did this update supposedly have that force feedback update?
No, apparently that's going to be the next patch.
Okay. That's the thing I want.
Well, depends what wheel you're going to use.
I'm going to use my Sidewinder.
Yeah, exactly. It might not matter for the Sidewinder because it's not got probably support for very complicated force feedback.
Most wheels only have like spin the wheel left and right force feedback support.
Sort of. But yeah, so I tried to. The weird thing about Pikes Peak is it stays in your like career. It stays as like a separate championship where it says hill climb or whatever, and you start from the lowest rank again. So it is like a very separate tree.
Thing. Yeah,
but there's only that one course. So, and the trouble with Pikes Peak is that it's based on runs. Like you do a run and you set a time, and then you do another run, you set a time. So if you're doing the whole course, that's a fucking long time.
Yeah,
you're doing 2 12-minute runs, and it's like whichever one of these is faster.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Again, I kind of like the hardcoreness of it.
I'm really hoping they are actually going to manage to come up with another hill climb course because it seems weird. You might as well just call it Pikes Peak rather than hill climb at this point.
Mode, yeah. They could do no, I don't know. They probably
I'm sure you could come up with one for like Fuji or something. That must have some ridiculous hill climb, right?
I was about to say there must be other hill climb routes.
Yeah, I bet Mount Fuji has one because Japanese be crazy. It's probably a drift route.
Yeah. You've got to make sure half the car is hung over a cliff at some point.
Yeah.
Can you do like Goodwood or something? How long is that? You know, the one in England.
Yeah.
1.16 miles long. It's not that long.
Doesn't sound very long.
No.
It's not Pikes Peak long. I don't know how long Pikes Peak actually is. Feels like a long way.
12 miles.
Because you're only going 1 mile a second.
Yeah.
Wait, minute.
Average pace of 60.
That might be true. There's a lot of hairpins, of course. I think I'm getting better at hairpins. Well, I think I'm getting better. I think I've got better at controlling the Group B car I have, maybe. I seem to be able to actually, like, sometimes pull off a nice-looking hairpin. Sometimes.
I've always questioned, like, sometimes when you think you've pulled off, what you describe as a nice-looking one, it's like, is that actually the quickest way to do this?
Is it better to just slow down and just drive around? Yeah. I find now that I've finally finished that Group B championship I was doing and been promoted to Master, I can move on to Group A. And as far as I can tell, once you move on from Group B to Group A in the 2010 cars, it just seems really easy because the Group B cars are so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this car has a lot of grip and it's like really easy to drive around these corners.
Yeah. I'm a bit afraid that it's going to be like that. Like struggling my way through Group B.
Well, the thing is, from where you come from the start of the game, Group B also seems easier because up to that point you've been in front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive.
The rear-wheel drive was freaking crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, once you finally have four-wheel drive, even though it's Group B, you're like, oh Jesus, four-wheel drive.
Yeah,
it's so much easier.
Yeah. I mean,
presumably, as you're going up the car ranks, this is when the difficulty increases, so it should sort of.
No, not really, because the difficulty is tied to you winning or whatever. It's just coincidence that I've ranked up every time I've gone up a car class.
Right, so it might not happen that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's do it.
It's quite hard to actually win the rallies or whatever.
Yeah, I still haven't actually won.
No, I haven't.
Well, it's because it's like as soon as I get better, I go up a rank.
Yeah.
It's like I come third, and I'm like, oh, I might actually be good enough to get set the fastest time or something. And it's like, well, now I've ranked up, so now I'm shitting it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to go with me. But I don't really mind. As long as I get enough points to actually buy some cars.
I wouldn't mind so much, apart from there's achievements tied to winning.
Right. Bloody achievements.
It's like, I can't win. Well, now I just have to get good enough to beat Masters. It's like literally the hardest. God damn it.
You can't just like set up a custom mode and be like, play it at this difficulty.
Well, sometimes it seems like some of those achievements will trigger in custom mode, but like the ones where it specifically says like win a championship,
right?
It's like that obviously has to be in the championship in career mode.
I guess. I suppose.
So boo.
Yeah.
Also, the Pikes Peak achievements don't work at the moment, so don't bother buying a hill climb car yet, even if you have the money, because the achievement won't pop, and then you have to save up to buy another one to get that achievement.
Right. Okay, I'll bear that one in mind. I wasn't planning on it. I was going to stick with the rally for the time being.
And also, one more thing to note about this Pikes Peak patch is they tried to do some editing to some pace notes, but what they actually did was royally fuck up the pace notes.
Oh, no.
There's a couple of the set levels in Turin, like the mountain, snow, ice, tarmac levels. Monaco. Where they've completely bollocks it up, and like the pace notes just repeat every corner twice, which completely fucks up the timing.
Weird.
So
yeah.
I think it seems to me what they did was like they tried to change the timing of a pace note, and like they copy pasted but didn't delete the old ones.
Oh wow!
Or something. That's what it seems like the way it's bugged out.
So whatever scripting file they have, everything's just there twice.
Yeah, like at a slightly different time, so everything repeats over and over. So that there's a couple of stages there that are fucked. And there's at least one corner in Greece where it does that as well, where there's like a hairpin where it doesn't say anything, but it used to. And there's a couple of pace notes that I think are fucked up that they've never fixed, where it's like...
There's just a few that didn't read, wasn't there?
Well, there was that one that didn't read specifically, but there's a few that I just think are wrong. Like there's one corner which is literally the last corner of a Greece stage, which it says is like right 4 keep mid. And it's at least a 3, if not a 2, and I always go off because, and it's like an outwards facing corner onto a cliff, so I always just go whoop straight off. It's like fuck you. This is literally the last corner.
Yeah, the last corner. Yeah,
I've
definitely gone almost. Well, I've gone completely off and lost like 15 seconds on the last corner of at least one stage. I'm sure it might have been that one. I can't remember. There's one where I was literally just stuck. You know what? Sometimes you can just get stuck.
Yeah, you can bank it real easily.
Yeah,
because the edge of the course is so high.
Yeah. So I've just banked it and not been able to recover it or whatever. You have to eventually. But like, I swear you lose more time that way than if you just go straight off. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
The auto reset kind of sucks.
I've done that right at the end. Yeah. Anyway, never mind.
And I've had a few spectacular crashes.
So what happens if you run down that timer? Do you just lose 4 seconds then?
Yeah, you reset with 4-second penalty.
Sure. Okay, that's not so bad.
I've had a couple of crashes where it's like the physics model still isn't the best. Like I had one where I came over a jump and there was a rock directly under where I was landing, and it hit like right in the middle of the bottom of my car, and I just went pwee into the air and like did a crazy barrel roll. It's like, oh, physics for that are still a bit dodgy, still a bit classic on those physics.
Couldn't quite decide what to do, so you suffered extreme acceleration.
It wasn't like super extreme. I didn't fly into space or anything in like the classic glitch fashion.
Yeah,
but it was like that's not how the car would have bent in real life. It would have like sprung. So yeah, that's Dirt Rally.
Dirt Rally. I really like it. I hope they make more rally courses as well as.
Yes, Germany's next. Apparently.
Oh, good. I hope they do like Finland or something at some point. I like the Scandinavian.
Yeah, they're gonna.
It's got to have Finland, right?
They're gonna have Finland eventually.
You can't do a rally game without Finland.
Germany's probably going to be kind of boring because it's a tarmac rally.
Right. Yeah, that is a bit sad.
And we already have one of those.
But it'll be a non-snowy tarmac.
Yeah, but that just makes it more boring.
Are they planning on doing versions of like tracks like Monaco and stuff where they're not snowy? Like if you went to the same stages at Monaco when the snow's not there.
Doesn't it already do that?
So.
Doesn't it already do that?
It has snow or non-snow as a weather option, but that's not the same.
Right. I'm sure I've done sections of track where it's been the exact same corners and stuff, but with different surface.
No, I think the surface is always the same.
Right.
I think they've updated the effect of like snow when it's actually snowing. It makes the road sound wet now, and it actually feels slightly slipperier.
Huh.
I think that I don't know if they've just turned it up or whether the effect wasn't working before or something. You can hear it. It makes that like slushy hissing noise when you're skidding.
The braking noise is really quite strange in the old. Is that what brakes sound like? That sort of weird, sort of creaky.
I don't know. I think they updated the braking sounds as well in this patch.
Right.
They also like updated the wheels squealing sounds. There's now.
Oh, because some of those weren't too hot.
Yeah, some of them were quite bad, but I think there's now like a slightly different noise for like locked wheels compared to just squealing tires. So it makes it easier to tell if you're braking too hard and you lock up. You can tell.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's handy. Is it realistic to be able to tell that you've locked your wheels by just listing?
I think it might be.
Could be.
The type of slide, and like I suppose if you're like losing grip just on the outside edges of your tire, that's probably going to be making a different noise to the whole tire is just sliding along the ground.
Yeah.
Because that's what tends to happen. Like, I think if you go around a corner and you're gunning it too much, you end up with that sort of. Do you know what I mean? You slip slightly and then you grip for a moment, and then you slip slightly and then you grip for a moment, and so you end up with that sort of Transformer style, like gated
jiggling,
which I don't think any game has really done.
No,
it always just.
Yeah.
That's Dirt Rally.
That is Dirt Rally.
And that's the end of the podcast, which is way long.
Way long. How did that happen?
I told you.
Ridiculous. Why did we spend so much time on the non-news? We need to just skip the news. Let's go straight to what you've been playing. Right. Anyway. Cool. Thanks for joining us.
Because the news was kind of funny. The non-news was kind of dumb.
Kind of dumb. That kind of sums
up
the whole
me
thing.
If you're getting bored of me talking about Castle Storm, really. Just fuck it, this is shit. Move on.
You're the one who needs to make that decision. We don't actually know.
Oh yeah, I know, but you could be bored with my discussion, I suppose. Or lack of discussion. My monologue on Castle Storm.
Right.
My memoirs. Memoirs of a... Zen made that, the pinball guys.
Right.
As well.
That's your pinball news for this podcast.
Yeah, pinball news this week. Zen actually made Castle Storm.
Anyway, check out our
They're also making
YouTube channel as well, because there's Final Fantasy shit.
Shut.
They nearly finished doing it.
Yeah, we've nearly finished Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
On the videos that you've seen.
Yep. Well, we already said that we have finished.
Yeah, that's true.
Only one more to go.
Uh-huh.
And when's that going to be uploaded?
Uh-huh.
The finale?
Well, we thought there was one more to go.
No, there is one more.
But the one that's up was
the
one we thought was going to be the last one.
But it's
not. There's one more to go.
There's one more. So go.
But surely the next thing to be uploaded will be...
there is pinball news this week.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Portal Pinball is a thing.
Oh, yeah. I guess it is.
But it's made by Zen Pinball, like your Pinball FX. So, fuck it, it'll be rubbish.
The kind of pinball you don't like.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay.
Marvel.
Continue your outro, Dan.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Yeah, finish it off.
Bye.
Don't let me say another word. Oh, God.
Goodbye.